Wow, talk about coming in right from one meeting to another. I wouldn't call this a meeting, but holy cow, Ed. Walked right in the door, slid right in the chair, boom, there we are. Only if people knew what I had to do to run a show. Good evening. How are you doing, Ed?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I've been
Oh,
drinking for
my
about an
God.
hour.
If I'm out of breath, it's because I came from a meeting, slid right into the chair, had to set up a couple things, make some adjustments, and wow, here we are. Little does anybody know, we have a special guest that we didn't publicize, and I'm going to say back by back return request because he was with us last time. We're going to have Gargo joining us here in just a little bit, but let's talk for a little bit about what's been going on over the past week. You know, I was out for the Craps for the Cure. You went to
Biloxi.
Biloxi. I didn't want to talk too much because I didn't know how much you wanted to give away on that. But you went to Biloxi and had a good time. Should we start with the brown water of choice? Should we start with the trips, or do we
You
go ahead
gotta
and bring?
start with the brown water, dude.
Okay, you want to bring
Because
Gargoyle on this?
you can bring gargoyle in. Yeah, go ahead and
All
bring
right.
him in. But I mean, I gotta talk about brown water for a minute
All right,
because
you can. There he is, right
my
there.
my,
Special guest again tonight.
my
Go,
favorite bootlegger is out there in the chat,
oh, who's that?
and he brought me a case of booze down to Biloxi.
Which one
I
is
mean, a
that?
whole like 6 or 8 bottles. That'd be Bud Phelan. He is my favorite bootlegger of all time.
Bootlegger.
And
All
so,
right, there we go.
so he brought me, he brings me stuff that I can't get here for the most part. And he knows I like certain things, and he brings me some of that. I mean, there's a half gallon of something up here behind me that I just truly love. But I didn't put that in the poll. I put three things in the poll, and I was kind of surprised, even though I mean, how can you not vote for this bottle right here? I mean, it's like it's on decanter, right?
Oh my.
That's
Okay.
called 13th Colony, and this is only available in 5 states, and it came in
Five.
last. 5 states, and this
Wow.
came in last, I think, on the poll. But that's okay. I'll drink it later.
I don't know anything about that, what you're talking about. So you keep
Blue
talking
Note,
about the whiskey.
Blue Note, he gave me.
Right?
That was in the poll. It came in second. I can't get it here, but I'm looking forward to cracking it open someday, soon, tomorrow, maybe after a while. And so, Woodford Reserve Double Oak, he gave me 2/5 of this. And
Wow.
so this won the poll. And so I'm happy to crack it open here right now. I've even got a big block of ice in there ready
Got the
for it.
big block.
I like
The big
big
block.
block, big square block, right?
All right. So
So I'm
which
going
one
to
are you
open
cracking
this.
open again?
The Woodford Reserve Double Oak. Now, this whiskey is it's just a little over 90 proof, but it's got a great flavor. I've had this before. My wife actually gave me this for Christmas last year, and it took me like 2 minutes to drink it. But anyway, so here we are. I'm filling it up to the top of the block, putting the cork on. Just opened it. There it is.
All
And
right.
cheers to all our brown water fans out there.
Well,
Oh, that's a good shot right there, folks. We might
well,
have to go back to shot of the week.
I saw Gargoyle tip his glass back, but I've just got an old orange Powerade, so I'll take a drink with you.
I'm only one of the three that actually drinks alcohol in this whole. Well, you'll drink with me a little bit.
Yeah, I do
You'll drink
when
with
we
me a little
play.
bit.
Yeah, I do when we do play. But in any event, welcome to the show. We're back on the show. We do have Gargoyle back with us as a special guest, back by popular demand is what I'm going to call that because
Oh man,
last time we.
he's like the most popular folk hero in North America right now. If he could release an album, if he could release an album on the country charts or the bluegrass charts, it wouldn't sell.
Yeah.
Is that because
You
he
know,
can't
you
sing?
know, you know, you know, you know, you know what needs to be cracked? It's
What's
something
that?
up your side of
What?
your head.
Right here?
Something
Yeah,
up the
that's
side
it.
of your head.
Oh my goodness. Well,
What are friends for, right?
that's correct.
Exactly.
We've broken open the brown water. We've got our special guests on the screen. I went to the Craps for the Cure. You went down to Biloxi and helped a good friend of yours,
Yep.
and we played a little bit of craps all weekend. And it sounded like Gargo had a good time checking out all the YouTube channels that were out there over the weekend for us. And I know well, I was in Vegas, and he and I were texting a couple times about some of the auction items that were for sale, and we texted back and forth. And I know that when we had Bo Parker on, the coach, dice coach, I know that after the show, I got an opportunity to talk to him. And I'll believe it or not, Gargoyle, he spoke very highly of you. Ed told me he wouldn't do that, but Bo spoke very highly of you.
He's
What's
getting
supposed to
old.
tell him?
He's getting old and senile. That's what it is.
Is that Bo or is that Ed?
I hope he's not watching. He's
Oh
not.
my gosh.
No, no,
Him where the hell we are.
no. He's been a mentor for years for me, and um, he knows the game. He definitely
Oh,
knows the game.
he does know the game. Yes, he does. That is for sure. My first opportunity to actually get to talk to him or at any length of time, and it was a very enjoyable time. So Ed, you want to go first about what you did down in Biloxi? And let me first premise this by, guys, if you have any questions for either Gargoyle or me or Ed, please premise it with a Q with a capital Q. I'm going to have to scroll back and look for some questions. But we're going to take questions and answer sessions about craps. It looks like right now in the chat it would be about whiskey. But we'll take questions, whatever you want. We got two good panelists on here tonight. Ed and Gargo have forgot more than I'll ever know about craps, so I'll just moderate the show and try to keep it moving. If you have a question, put a capital Q
And
and
I'm
we'll get it
taking my
answered.
filter off tonight. I left it
You're
on a
up.
couple of weeks ago. I'm going to take my filter off tonight. If I feel like saying something, I'm just going to say it.
You mean that you've held back the last time? I
I
don't. I
did.
find
I
that.
did. I held back because Gargoyle was doing a good job for me. But I don't want him to get all the heat. So I'll take some.
Okay. Um, yeah.
All right. So I went to Biloxi.
Okay.
Yeah. Heavy Haltom was having a class. He used to always, and it was kind of a funky deal. I mean, he used to always do Veterans Day weekend classes in Las Vegas. But because of the Formula One crap, he switched them around and changed calendars, and he went to Biloxi. And since he's already made it public on a couple of forums and Facebook and stuff like that, Heavy had a heart attack. If there's such a thing as a minor heart attack, I mean, I don't think there is. If a heart attack's a heart attack. There's a widowmaker and there's a heart attack.
Right.
So
That's
he had
true.
he had an issue, and then he had like some emergency stents put in real quick right after that. And I told him that, and plus some of his family is ill, not been feeling well, kind of seriously ill at times. And so I told him, I said, I can be there in 5 hours. I'll be down there. If you need me to assist you with your class, I'll be there. I mean, we've been friends for years. And so I went ahead and just made the reservations because I just felt like I probably was going to need to be down there. And sure enough, he called me like a week before, just kind of checking to see if I was going to be there. So he had 9 students, which gave us a great opportunity. I only helped him on Saturday, which was during the tossing and some of the minor betting stuff, but primarily we just focused on tossing on Saturday. He handled the advanced betting. He can do that sitting down. He handled the advanced betting stuff on Sunday morning that he always does. So I was glad to go down and just help him. He worked with 4, I worked with 5, and then we had lunch and we swapped. And so we worked on everybody's favorite position And then we worked on stretching them into a second or third position that afternoon. So everything I heard was good. Apparently, some people even liked what I had to say down there. I don't know, but couple of the viewers were enrolled, and dude, I've seen some chip porn after I left. Couple of these viewers learned how to toss last week. They had some hell of a rolls down there, and saw one of the guys get kicked off the table. We can talk about that later too if you want to.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That sounds like a good story. All right.
I came back Sunday morning. I left Biloxi probably 9:30 in the morning. Heading back.
Okay. Well, you I need to make a message. Lou, I don't know what you're doing, but on my side I see some things going on my side. So Lou, send me a text. Anyway, keep going with your story, Ed.
Oh, I thought I was done.
Okay, no, I thought there was more to it because we've got questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We've got questions coming in, and I'll leave you on the main screen here. I think this is what John's talking about. He's got a question here. Can you share with everyone the name of the YouTube channel you liked where they talk about the whiskey? Do you know the name of the channel?
Yeah, I do. I can share it. It's SLB. SLB. It's a father and son, and they do a lot. They make a lot. I mean, them guys, dude, they make some serious money talking about bourbon. I should have went that route instead of this route. I mean, they clean up. I mean, they get $100 super chats and shit, like thousands. I mean, they do a live and they're covered up.
Yeah, I got it up
there.
They
got a great channel. Yep, SLB drink. That's it.
Yep, that's it.
So father and son most of the time. Sometimes it's the father and his brother, but they'll do a lot. They'll put 5 out there, and the mom has kind of blinded them. Like all they know is they got a number on a glass, and the father and the son are talking about each one and picking their favorites. And lo and behold, the one that they think is going to be their favorite, it's like third down the list that night. They pick something crazy, stupid. But I enjoy watching them on occasion.
All right.
It's a lot more fun than watching strategy videos.
There's a lot funner things to do than that. To Andy, trust me, Ed said he's going to pull the filter off. It'll probably come off here when we get talking about a few things here in a little bit. Guys, there's some questions coming in. Remember, capital Q. There's a couple questions that came in without the Q that I'm trying to set back. But I will real quick want to talk about what I did on the weekend. I was out with my good friend. I'm sorry, what's that?
I said, please do. Tell us about your weekend up in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, I went out with my good friend John from Pro Craps and spent a lot of time with John and Chris from Dice Degen, Craig from Old Bay Craps, Justice Jen, a bunch of people that are here in the chat that were there. It's just too many to mention. I'm going to show just a few pictures here in just a second. Went out, flew in on Thursday. Wasn't feeling that good Thursday, so I kind of, I don't know, took a break Thursday night. Friday did a little bit of playing, but on Thursday and Friday when I played 2 hands, was up over $4,100 in those 2 hands, and simply because I was there for a Thursday ATS full hit and a Friday ATS full hit on 2 long rolls. One of them was 30 plus, and the other one was, Lord knows, that little lady at the Horseshoe must have rolled 40 or 50 times. Chris Dice Degen was here. He was off most of the time on the hand, but if Craig's here with us, he will tell you that lady rolled for forever, and that's why I was up. And then on Sunday night, I actually gave just a little over $500 back to him. I played a little bit of table games here and there, and when I came back home, I was $3,100 up for the session. But overall, my best time there was Saturday and Sunday for the Craps for the Cure, raising money for us to get the dog for the PTSD veteran and raising money for veterans. It was just a wonderful time. The lady there, Lori, and the name escapes me, her foundation, I have her card, but it's out of reach. But we just had a good time. I was there about 12 hours on Saturday, about 9.5 to 10 hours on Sunday, and I just enjoyed everybody that came out to see us, everybody that was there. To all the YouTubers that were there, for the majority of the point, almost every single YouTuber was there, almost every single hour. Brian from Holy Roller, I know, was there every hour. Leon from Great Craps was there every hour. Chris was behind the controls, running the controls. They were just, everything just went along really well. The Craps Chat session that I ran on Saturday night with John and a dice coach and me with the panel behind us, that was kind of like a dream come true to actually have a panel behind us and take questions out of the chat. That's the way I think a Craps Chat show should be run. That was fun. And I think as of this morning, I saw, and I didn't watch John's show this morning because I have my own fundraiser coming up here shortly. But I think in a text message I saw that the total as of today was $28,303 raised, and that is just an incredible amount. Missed the goal, but I still think hat goes off to John. I sent him a long text. He ignored it. But anyway, I'm kidding, John. I sent him a long text and just said, John, you should hold your
I ignore his
pride. And he just did one heck of a job. What was that?
I said I ignore his.
No, well, I don't think so. He's a busy person, but so my flight's out, flight's back. We're good. I'm here. I had a wonderful time. I'm heading to AC in the morning, so I got to meet Chuck from Crapsy in Atlantic City. in Vegas, and I'm seeing him again on Saturday. Having dinner with his wife and him on Saturday night. They're coming in for a junket out of Canada. I think it's Saturday through Tuesday, I believe, is when he's there. So overall good time. I have a few pictures that I'm just going to share with you guys. I know you don't want to see pictures on this show. We want to get to what we want to talk about. The questions are coming in, but I am going to put some pictures up here on the screen. I got to turn your audio on because that killed it while I had them up there. But this is something I want to tell John. Thank you. That's me, a guy by the name of Jeremy Bennett, and John holding up the Craps for the Cure plaque there that John gave me for top fundraiser. I'm just going to run backwards through a few of these, and John, I sincerely like that. That'll be mounted on my wall at some point here in the near future. Just a little shot of Casino Quest. There's Justice Jen with my hat on. I have another picture of her somewhere in here. There it is. We're actually at the Sahara after dinner that night. She's still wearing my hat. And I think there's David and John. I got a close-up shot of them while they were doing their instructional part on Saturday. Little behind-the-scenes shot there that if you're not in the Discord, you may not have seen, but that's Chris's head and the rest of them while John was talking to Lori. There's Dice Dr. Dan. I got to put him in there. Thank for his hospitality while I was out there. There's Big AZ and me at Casino Quest. There's Chuck. That's Chuck from Crapsy, by the way, guys. If you've never seen Chuck, that is Chuck from Crapsy. There's Big AZ talking to your, as you call him, Mr. Spice there, Ed. That's Craig from Old Bay Craps. There's a couple people. There's Brian from Holy Roller, Chris Dice Dejan, Leon from Great Craps, and John with the fedora on. Just a couple more pictures here. We're almost done with this, guys, as we go through doing the setup. I think I already showed that picture. This picture I took on the way when we went out to Green Valley Ranch to a private table to play. This was actually out of the Uber, and that's the original shot. I kind of cut it down, but I thought that was one hell of a shot. There's a pizza we devoured on Friday at a place at the Horseshoe. Now, this is from my room. This picture here is from my room. That's the Sphere. You can't see the turn. There's turn 4 of the F1 race in the background, and this is when we all were there on Friday when John finally got into the 5 duo there. You talk about some 5 people that are bad. That is Chris Texas Dicer all the way on the far right side of your screen. And this is the hand that Craig had hit on the very first night. That's me cashing out. You can't see it, but they actually have a stack of black chips beyond the black chips on the right-hand side there. I was able to color up $2,350 a head on that shot. And there's a daytime shot of the Sphere from my hotel room. Good shot of the parking garage. So I'll share that, guys. I'll share that with you. That's my tales of let's say, can't say tales at a table because that would be stealing something from you. But
Tales of Vegas, man.
It is what it is. I had a wonderful time. Now, with that said,
Tales of the cure. Tales of the cure.
and yeah, I think I agree with what John says here. It takes an all-in team to pull something like this off. And John, again, if I have my hat here back here, my Mid-Atlantic hat, I'll put it on, and I'll tip my hat to you, John, because you did one hell of a job. That's all I got to say about that. All right. So now I got to scroll back and
It
get to
takes
some
a tremendous
questions.
amount of effort, and we got a guest sitting this way.
Yep. Oh, yeah, we do have a guest that way.
We haven't
put it
talked
back.
to you.
Yeah,
He's
he
over
hadn't
there.
talked yet. Yeah, let's go over here and let's before we get to the questions, welcome back, Gargoyle. Now that we've been on for 20 minutes streaming, you found out what Ed did this past weekend, and what I did. What did you do this past weekend? I'm just kidding. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, and I streamed the whole thing except for maybe 45 minutes of it when I had to go help the wife in Walmart, but I had it on YouTube and on the phone, and I was listening. But I streamed the entire thing, and it's you guys did amazing, John. I mean, just there are no words. You know, if you missed it, people who missed seeing it, you missed something really good happening. It was spectacular in my opinion.
I
I
hope
think
Ian's on my channel.
let me answer this.
Except for like 45 minutes, but we're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that one. I know you told me you were going to go take a break. You texted me, so I got to go take a break on this one. But we won't talk about that right now. There's Mudslide Mac. I said, "Is there a link for me to make a donation?" John, if you're in the chat, can you answer the question? And I can pin it. But if you could put that in the chat, I'll be glad to put it up there. I'm pretty sure it still is up. It's
I think it's up
crapsforthecure.com.
till the end of the year.
Yeah,
I think I
and-
heard that the link was up till the end of the year.
Yeah, so there you have crapsforthecure.com, middle section, I think it says
Yep,
donation. Yeah.
Yep, crapsforthecure.com. If you want to make a donation between now and the end of the year, do it to it.
Yeah.
I'm just
Hopefully
pissed
John-
off I didn't get the bobblehead. I bought
Well-
all those new shotgun shells and I didn't get to use them.
Well, there were 4 people wanted a bobblehead. That was you, that was Jen, that was Kathy, John's wife, and actually I wanted it too, but neither one of us wanted it. But,
No,
maybe
Jen got it.
John will make a couple more.
And probably the right person got it because, I mean, I had plans for it.
Yeah, he did say that. John just said, yes, it's crapsforthecure.com through December 31st. You can still make a donation. So, Mudslide, if you're going to do that, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
The only picture I see in my head when I listen to Ed.
And go ahead, Gargoyle. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the only picture I see in my head when I listen to Ed is Elmer Fudd going after Bugs Bunny. You little rascal.
Yeah.
How do you know? I mean, I bought new shotgun shells and everything just so I can win that damn bobblehead.
You never know, Ed.
That's going to be YouTube history.
One might show up at your doorstep one day. You never know. Santa's on his way.
Well, I really wasn't going to shoot it.
I know you weren't. You told me
I really
that.
wasn't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I had
and
other plans for it.
Thank you there, Mudslide, for saying you're getting on it right now.
Yeah.
Anybody else that you want to make a donation?
As a father of a son with PTSD, I hate that I was not out there, but I could not because of my commitment to heavy. So I appreciate all the effort. I made some bids on some stuff and didn't win nothing. Totally
Me too.
rigged. It was totally
I did too.
rigged.
No, I can tell you it wasn't rigged. I watched John work that thing because he had all the auction items
I
set off.
saw
turned
him
off.
going in there and making all them changes. Wait a minute.
No.
I got to make changes real quick.
No, that's not what he did. I saw him. He had them set to turn off at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and we started giving them away, and he had to go in one at a time and turn them off. So I watched what he was doing.
I need to get a watch.
He turned the computer around. He pushed the button like the person who won Holy Roller Brian Screws. Brian got to push the button to see who that was, and a nice guy that won that. That was Rick Salyers. So I'm glad that Rick won that cruise, and he was able to go. In any event, good evening to both of you. Are you ready to get on to some questions?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Let's do it.
Actually, I saw a question that wasn't premised with a question on your channel. Ed, that I'm trying to find, and it's by Stent Placer. So anybody wants to put a question up, please don't do it this way, but put a capital Q in front of it. I'll try to go back. I don't have any way to queue the questions tonight with the software that I'm using, but this is Ed. Let's talk about buying in during a roll. That's what your good buddy down there, Stent Placer, who's a loyal subscriber of yours, would like to start out with.
And he's a great guy. I met him a few times. Don't until the puck is off. I know that everybody thinks that puck says on, but if you turn it around, it says no. And what that means is no, do not put any fucking money on the table.
There's the filter. That's the filter. Oh my gosh, here we go.
I mean, really. I don't know if it'll probably be backwards. It'll probably be backwards.
Well, I can tell you a story.
Or does that say no?
Well,
That's on.
To me, it's on.
I can't tell because the cameras screw with things, but it really says no.
That says no.
All right. So if it says no, that means don't put your damn money on the table. Keep it in your pocket or set it on the rail until it says this.
Well, that's correct. There you go. Turn it upside down. There we go. Oh, there you go. Real quick,
I'll tell a rotator cuff trying to make that.
I could tell a story if you like me to about what with the puck being on and what I did. I told it on Craps Chat, but not everybody might not have been there. So if you give me like 90 seconds, time me. I'll tell you this story. Are you ready? All right.
Go ahead.
So here's
I'll tell you one too.
Here's the story. We get back Saturday night or Sunday night, and Chris Dice Dejan, Craig Olbay, and me, we head over to an empty table, one guy on it, over at Harrah's. It was a $15 table, and we wait, and we're going around, and hell, it might not have been, it wasn't Sunday night. I believe it was one night. I don't know which night it was. But anyway, Chris from Dice, Texas Dice was there with us. We were going and playing, and I had a $25 line bet out. We were playing the ATS. I had 110 inside. I was on the longest roll I had for the entire weekend. I only shot 8 times, and the longest roll I had was 17, and this was on roll number 15. The gentleman came in and bought in mid-roll with the puck on, bought in for $2,000, asked for all green. And, of course, when he goes to grab them, put them up on the rack, he stumbles and they fall down on the table and everything. So I look at him, and he's to my left, and I said, sir, would you like to place a bet? He said, no, go ahead. I looked at him, and I said, really? And I was kind of a little bit upset. Craig's here. I picked the dice up, not looking at him, picked the dice up in my hands, and I did them underhand, like Lauren does. Did them underhand, and they flew off the table, hit Craig upside the head, and rolled back. They brought the dice back in. I said, I don't need the same dice. I said, I don't need the same dice. They pushed me, the remaining dice. I picked 2 up. I looked at them again. I threw them again. Off the table they went. And according to Chris Dice Dejan, they rolled all the way over by the pizza cakes place, if you know anything about Harrah's. So that's, probably 40 feet away from the table. And then they brought them back, and I went ahead and set it. I've been using a 6-4, 4-6 set the entire time with the exception of the come out. Wouldn't you know, on the next actual time I got to shoot, because I actually set the dice and hit the point. Didn't hit the point, I'm sorry. I just got to set the dice, and I don't know what it was. It was craps number or something, and then the very next one was a 7 out, and that's what buying in the middle of the roll does. And we colored up and got off the table. Anyway, okay, I was a little over 90 seconds.
We had a guy down at Harrah's. He bought in while Heavy was shooting.
Ian was there.
Heavy was probably about 17, 18 rolls into a really nice little hand. And then they slide the dice to Heavy, and as soon as the dice are in front of Heavy, some guy drops $4,000 and down on the table. And so Heavy just stands there like this. It doesn't even pick up the dice. The dice are sitting in front of him. The stick man looks at him and he says, I ain't buying, I ain't shooting. Stick man pulls the dice back in. Then the damn guy down there starts arguing about how they gave him his color to buy in. I don't know. He didn't like all the greens. He wanted blacks or he wanted reds. I don't know what it was. He starts arguing about that. Right? Heavy starts fussing at him from down here at stick left 2, or straight out. I think Heavy was straight out. I walked down there after about 2 minutes. I walked down there to the other side, past the stick, and I said, "Hey guys, We got a fucking craps game going on this end of the table. Y'all need to get this shit straight quick. Now I turn around, walk back, stick left one, come back, everything's cleared up. He threw about 7 or 8 more times. But I went down there and just like shoot him out. Because, that's stupid.
It's stupid.
And I said, don't forget to place your freaking bet since you bought in the middle of the hand.
Yep. Can you say that stupid line like you did one time on Craps Chat about a month and a half ago? You said stupid.
It's stupid. Ain't nothing more stupid than a 5 count and buying in the middle of a damn hand. Stupid.
Oh, look at this. I'm going to put this one up here on the chat. It's a question, but Craig's making more of a statement. Why are you two so entertaining? I don't know.
We don't know.
Ed's
really
drinking.
don't.
And I'm just silly. All right, here's a question off your channel. It goes to, let me get Gargo on the screen here. It's for both of you guys. It says, Ed and Gargoyle, is there a benefit of using notepad track rolls at a table? Is there a better way to use a notepad? What is your focus to write down? He's looked like he's giving that one over to you, Gargoyle.
Oh, I don't track any fucking rolls. I just roll the dice.
Okay. Well, I know there's some people that track rolls. I don't know what they're doing. If it was me and I was tracking the roll, I'd probably be tracking it for the next time when it came back around to that person if I was still on the table. I know there's a lot of people that
My
track.
problem is I'm the only one of the person, so I'm only tracking my rolls, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. There was another question I saw
That's
come in
my
here.
Blake Shelton impersonation from The Voice.
Say that again.
This is my Blake Shelton impersonation from The Voice.
All right, let's move
Best
on.
thing to do with a notepad, if you're not married, is get the cocktail waitress's phone number.
Why can't you get it if you're married?
Because you can't take that notepad home with you. That'd be a waste of trees.
You're not going to need it after the trip. All right, let me put this question back up here from Matt Kenna off of your channel. By the way, guys, we're streaming on both channels. We're streaming over on Ed's channel. He's got 49 people watching. We're streaming on Mid-Atlantic Craps. So I currently have 33 watching, so you can see the totals there. Matt Kenna, question. Oh, it is up there. Well, I'm not even drinking. I can't even control myself. What are the common bad habits in shooting that you've observed from other shooters and yourself? Let me put that back up there because it just fell down. That's probably a show in itself, isn't it, Ed?
You know, I liked it better when you guys were talking about alcohol because, last time I was on the show, I had some haters, and I was like, oh, okay, I may not get any haters tonight, but oh man. All right. Bad habits. Ed, you want to take one first, or what do you want to do?
Well, the most common bad habit is a wrist roll. And I think we all suffer from that. Some people will go pinky up when they release the dice. Some people will go like they're doing a handshake. They'll roll that hand right over. That's probably the most common bad habit. There are a lot of other bad habits from grip and so forth, but in my opinion, that's the one I observe the most from somebody who's trying to practice a controlled toss. And I'm guilty of rolling my wrist as well. So it's obvious.
All right. Do you have any Gargoyle?
Yeah. Sometimes they can't find the landing zone even if you're standing right there and pointing at it. They'll still shoot the dice over there. Okay. You gotta find your landing zone if you're shooting the dice.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
That could be a hand-eye coordination problem.
Question for both of you, because this happened to me. I know you have your landing zone and you have chips at the opposite end, and somebody that has their chips in the way, and you go down and you ask them to move them, and they don't move them. How do you adjust to that? They won't move them.
you find another landing zone that you're comfortable with, and you change your dice set for that particular throw. Because when you change that landing zone, you have to change the angle, the velocity, and everything that you're doing. And so now that there's a change, you have to find a dice set to work with that particular landing zone. Some people don't understand that, there's a certain dice set for a longer landing zone. There's a certain dice set for a shorter landing zone because the dice will react differently. So it's not the same dice set, and depending on the bounce and stuff like that. Most of the times I use those chips. A lot of times people put a pass line but don't put odds. I use those chips as a tracker for my landing zone, and I shoot them, an inch to the left or the right, depending on where it is. And it's like literally to me, a chip in the way is like a gift because somebody put an X on the table that I can look at and point at and shoot the dice.
All right.
It's
and the
like
other
a
thing I guess.
marker. It's like somebody putting a marker out there for you. You just got to find out. I mean, sometimes you got to go over it because I like to land close to the wall anyway. So, hey, they're right there in my landing zone. They're perfectly lined up with my toss. I'm just going to throw it right over their chip. Sometimes, depending on the bounce, you just want to land in front of that chip and let it bounce over it, trickle to the wall right after it. I mean, changing sets, yes, you may need to do that as well, but you just adjust.
Well, I know both of you like to play on an empty table early in the morning, so you probably don't have that as often as other people do. But I had it this weekend, and it was inevitable. We had this group of guys. They were in for the football game, the Raiders game on Sunday. They weren't there for the F1, and they were partying it up. And I asked them to move it, and the guy didn't understand what I was saying. The box person said, roll the dice. I kind of got jammed up, but it was a short roll. Most of my rolls were 5 or less, so it really didn't make any difference to me. All right, here's a question. Joe Ramus off of my channel. Jeff, read it up here. Which sounds like a good story, getting kicked off of a table on a very nice long roll. Oh, this is something you mentioned early in the show, Ed. You had a story you could tell us about a long roll. So Joe Ramus is saying, kick the show off with that.
I got to tell you, now, they had this guy we nicknamed Binky, Binky. We just nicknamed him Binky. I'm not going to give his name. I'm not going to tell you where he's from, but there's 2 or 3 people in my chat that already know now. By the way, Scotty Free is in my chat. He freaking killed it. He freaking killed it from like Sunday lunch, Sunday night, Monday morning. Then he had a coffee run. He had an after breakfast run. He had a lunch run. I texted him and said, "You might as well stay for supper, dude." I mean, he was killing it. But anyway, we were on a 14-foot table. We had waited Saturday night after dinner as a group play. We were sitting there watching, and Harrah's opens up a 14-foot regular table. No bonus bets at Harrah's at all, nothing like that. I mean, you earn every dollar you take off that table. So, 14-foot table. I'm a little bit ahead of everybody else because I know what time they're going to go open it, and I stake out stick left 1, Heavy's at stick left 2, and Binky buys in at stick left 3. We have some nice little rolls. We're making a little money. We're doing pretty good. In fact, Heavy hit his win goal and said, "Hey guys, I'm coloring up. Color coming in." Which what you're supposed to do. I'm not retired yet. I'm retired from making. I got a bunch of videos, but
I think he was talking about me. I think Arnell's wife was talking about me. I met her in June in Atlantic City. Yeah, he said that the guy that's retired. Now she should have put in there. Isn't that the fat guy that's retired? Then we could have differentiated between the two of us.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm pretty robust in the middle. But anyway, so Binky, I don't know. The dice went around a couple times, whatever, and Heavy colors up because he's made a good old profit. I've kind of sectioned off my rack. I pulled my profit into a certain zone on my rack, kind of playing with, I got my money back. I got profit. that I'm leaving with, and I got money to play with on top of it. Binky gets on there, and he can't hit the freaking back wall if he had a dadgum 22 pistol. I mean, he couldn't hit it. He couldn't hit the back wall. Now, it's a traditional felt table, and he's trying to play it like microfiber. They don't play the same. And he's hitting about 6 inches in front of the pass line, and they're freaking stopping way before they ever get to the wall. And I'm leaning over, the dealer, stick's getting onto him. Short roll, you got to hit the wall. Short roll, you got to hit the wall. And we're betting the dealers, and we're trying to keep them happy. And I'm leaning over saying, just throw it to the freaking pass line, and it'll hit the wall. That's not my shot. So he's being stubborn. He was being cordial at first, but the more heat he got, the more of an ass he became. And finally, the pit boss comes over there and says, "Sir, you're going to have to start hitting the wall. And you're going to have to shoot." And he was a very mechanical setter. So he had this very mechanical process, which seemed long. It was probably 5 seconds, maybe 6. I mean, it wasn't all that long, but it was very mechanical. So it seemed like a very long, long time. And so all of a sudden, the pit boss starts counting. 15. You got to hit the back wall, shoot the dice in 15 seconds, or we're dumping the bowl. And she's like 15, 14, 13. Well, he's pounding nines. I mean, this guy is freaking pounding nines. I've gone from a $20 nine, which is the buy bet. I've done my little progression. I've collected at 80, and I've dropped them $4, and I went to 200. And then she starts giving him shit. He did not handle this well. Folks, don't do what I'm fixing to tell you. Do not do this. Do not say, take all the dealer bets down. Wrong thing to do. Absolutely the wrong thing to do. He said, take all the dealer bets down, and he looked at the dealer and he said, if you don't like it, talk to your boss. I looked at my dealer right there, and I said, take my $200 nine down to 80, please. And he did. Next frickin' throw, he threw a 9. Short. They called it a 9. So, I mean, I got paid $116, so I ain't really crying, but shit, I wanted that $300 that it was going to pay. But, anyway, he threw it short. She looked at the stick and said, dump the bowl, pass the dice.
Pass the dice.
Yeah, she took the dice out of it. She said, dump the bowl, give it to the next guy. So I took all my bets down. Tonight, the dealer I think the dealer just wanted me to get out of the game too, but because he knew I was just kind of like playing. I mean, they kind of know me. But I said, no, give me a 96 across. So the next guy I threw 2 or 3 times, 7'd out. But I got all my money. I mean, I made money because, I took all the money that I pulled down and put it in my win rack. And as soon as he 7'd out, and then I let this one lady shoot, and I played a one hit can't miss on her, and then I cordially colored up and went to the cage. But yeah, telling them to take down the dealer bets is bad juju.
All right. Well, we'll move on to this next question. I was going to bring it up.
Freaking thing to do.
Well, that does sound, you told me that story, so that's the second time I heard it. Gargo, you got any comments about that? Because the next question is from you, from Richie Birdman. He put it on my channel about 35 minutes ago. Now he just put it on Ed's channel, so I got to get to that question. But any comments about what Ed said?
Don't be an asshole at the table and hit the freaking back wall. I mean, the casinos don't have too many rules, right? One hand with the dice. Don't let the dice go behind the rail, towards you, and hit the back wall. I mean, other than outside of that, there's nothing else. But I mean, Just hit the freaking back wall. Be nice. Respect. You are a guest in their house. When you walk in, you are walking into their house. They can do whatever they want to. That's their house. Just be nice.
Here's a question
You
for you
know,
while you have. Oh,
my,
go ahead, Ed.
I set a point of 9, and my second toss was probably that short of the back wall. I mean, those guys flew in there, boom, stopped. They hit and they stopped. They didn't freaking move. 9 showing. They called it a 9. I said, I'm sorry. Wow, them things ended up short, didn't they? I mean, I just acknowledged it and kind of like, what the hell caused that? Well, I threw a little deeper next time. You got to kind of make a joke of it, whatever. Physics is physics. And when they land like that, they don't move in it. Again, that's a traditional felt table, not a microfiber table.
Right. Right. Well, we see it all the time, but very seldom do you actually see them take the dice away from someone. I mean, you see it, and they threaten it a lot, but to see it actually done, that's two different things. So, Gargo,
They did
question
it.
for you. I know they did. I've seen it, but not as often as they threaten it. What's your favorite place to play in Vegas? Richie from Birdman, he put that my channel and Ed's channel, so get that question out of the way real quick here.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been to Vegas, but when I used to go, Bellagio definitely. They have nice bounce tables. Cromwell, um, they've got some nice tables, and believe it or not, it's not the MGM, but is it the Monte Carlo that's right across the street?
Yes, MGM Park
You know,
now.
is it MGM Park? Okay.
Yes.
So that's they I used to play there too. Um, yeah, of course the Mirage, we stayed there and played a lot, but I played because I stayed there and I wanted to show play for my host.
There's two places that Ed told me to play while I was in Vegas this past time. I didn't get an opportunity to do it. One of them was at Paris. Never got there, Ed. I did get to the Cromwell, and some of our group was playing on the Cromwell. Based on something you said last show, Gargoyle, he wasn't there, but your favorite person was brought up at the table, and I think they were laughing at him. That's all I'm going to say about that. We'll move on to the next question.
Man, every time, every time.
Arnell,
I can dig those pictures up if you want me to. I got them on my computer. I can pull them pictures up anytime.
Take another sip of that brown wine.
Yeah. Arnell wants to know what
Let's
you do.
pour another glass.
Oh, my God. How many is that now? 4?
Well, it's only 2 in this show. I
I
drank
was
some
getting
in
ready.
another show I was watching later.
I know you did. That's why I said, is that 4? Arnell
I'm
from
drinking
Ice
heavy
Cracker.
during.
Arnell wants to know to each of you, how do you deal with a bouncy table?
So traditionally, if you know how to throw underhand, I would say your underhand shot is best for a bouncy table because you're starting low, you're already low, and unless you're throwing really high, you're gonna do good
You're
because
throwing from stick
they,
right as well, correct? Or you
yeah,
throwing from stick right? Well, you throw both hands. Never mind.
I throw both.
You're
It
switching.
doesn't matter to me. But for a bouncy table, you gotta keep the toss low and slow velocity. Don't hit it too hard. Um, the reason why we could say we gotta keep the toss low is because if you toss the dice high, gravity is gonna take over on the way down, and they're gonna speed up. And when they do, they're gonna hit hard. And if it's a bouncy table, they're gonna bounce all over the place. They're gonna bounce hard, differently if it's not a bouncy table, but they'll still roll because there's speed coming down. But if you shorten the angle, shorten the velocity, lower the angle, sorry, shorten the velocity, then they should hit the back wall and just kind of lay.
All right. Ed, anything else to add to a bouncy table?
Well, I you get one mulligan, you get to find out real quick if it's a bouncy table. If it's the first time in there and you don't know, you get one mulligan that's to come out. Um, for me, I'm not an underhand tosser, so I'm trying to land them, and I'll try instead of getting them to bounce. How do I want to say this? I want them to bounce to the wall, not from the wall, if that makes sense. I want them to land way short, bounce maybe once or twice, and kind of stop really low into the wall. And that means you got to have a low shot, but it's got to be a soft, low velocity toss. And again, it depends on your distance. If you're a stick left one, it's a different velocity than the hook.
All right. I'm going to pull a couple questions next off of your channel, but it comes from your good friend Cashier Cage and one from Sarge coming back to back. I do want to say Sarge made a hell of a donation during the Craps for the Cure. On I don't remember
Very
what day
nice.
it was, but he did make a nice donation of $250. And Sarge, I said it then, I'll say it again. I had the pleasure of playing with you in June. You are one hell of a guy and one hell of a
I love that
craps
man.
player.
I love
Yep.
that man. I'd love to play with him again as soon as possible.
Well, we're going to come back to his question
Fine
first.
gentleman right there.
I'm trying to stay away from try to stay in order with the questions. This one's going to come from your friend Cashier's Cage, Ed. It looks like it's for Gargo. Let me put him back up here on the screen just to make sure that I get it right here. Says, G, do you still give yourself only 3 attempts to successfully toss the dice in a session? I think you mentioned that last time we were on.
I'm not sure what he means by attempt. If he's talking about, if I throw and then I get a quick 7 out, if I try again one more
Let's
time,
say 3 hands. Let's call it 3 hands.
you
I
know,
think that's what he means.
I do. I do. But if it's like doing, waiting for 4 rolls and taking things down, it's 4 rolls. I think it's different. But yeah, I give myself 3 attempts.
All right. Let's move on to the next question from Ed's channel. Here it is for you as well, Gargoyle. Oops, let me get some of this off here. There's too much up there on the screen at one time. Question: if you go for 640 across, how many hits do you reasonably look for before you regress, and what do you regress to?
Yeah, that when I mentioned that the other day, it opened up a can of worms. So I'm gonna talk slower than I usually talk because I want to make sure everybody understands. This is not a betting strategy that I'm recommending to anyone. This is something that I do because I've been throwing dice for a while, and it's something that I practice. And the only SRR I want is 4 or 5. I want to set the point, get 4 paying numbers, and then regress down. And depending on what the paying numbers are, it may take less than 4. If I hit a 10 or a 4, it's going to pay double. That's 2 numbers for me.
Right.
If I hit a horn, I don't try and do 5. It's just a neutral, and it just counts as a non-paying number or a non-paying hit. But I only do 4. I don't try and go for the 5th one because I hit a non-paying number. So, but I do go 640 across, but that's because I've got a bankroll that can sustain me. If your bankroll is $500, $1,000, do not do that unless you really, 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 really know you're gonna hit. You can set the point and hit 4, and then only do like 135 across. I just want to make sure clear. I'm not saying this is a betting strategy that I recommend for people, because people thought I was crazy and oh man, and this right setter is gonna die broke like every other right setter. Right better.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Let's not go there.
I said that was a bunch of bullshit. from Garrison.
Yeah.
Every
But
right rider
but
gonna die broke. Show me the proof.
okay, I'm gonna add to that.
I opened it
I
up.
have
I'm sorry. No film.
I have opinions, and I share opinions. People share opinions. Facts are have been proven by science and others. If I pick up a dice and I let go of it, it falls on the floor. It's something called gravity. It's been proven over and over, and there's data behind it. When people talk about words have meaning, okay, and people need to concentrate on what they say before they speak or while they speak. I sound like a foreigner with a broken accent because I'm trying to speak slowly because I want to make sure I don't say the wrong thing. If you say something as an opinion, everybody has opinions. They can't argue with you. You know, that's my opinion. You have your opinion. You know, but if you state something as fact and the only data you have behind it is you go out and play some more, you need to go out more because those are not facts. And just because you wrote a freaking book doesn't make you Mr. Know-it-all. You gotta watch out what people say and don't, you know, they got these flashy screens and videos out there and a flashy, you know, guaranteed winning bet. Okay, what are you still doing on YouTube? Go use that, make billions of dollars, and then just go live your life on a yacht somewhere. Guaranteed.
We know guys
That's the
that
word.
have done that.
That's the word, right? Guaranteed. Instead of saying guaranteed, you say, here's something that works sometimes for me, or let me show you something to think about. The words have meanings, and people that are out there with cameras and a microphone and think they know what the fuck they're talking about, they don't. Words have meanings. You
All
know,
right.
some people just fall for it and they're just suckers. Words have meanings, and I love this community because, you know, somebody says, oh, why are you hating on YouTubers the other day? I wasn't. I'm not hating on this community. I'm saying be careful of the other community that's out there, and there's a lot of them out there.
Well, I'll say it, Gargoyle.
Sorry for interrupting.
There's over 200 craps channels, dedicated craps channels, not counting the casino channels that do all the games that are out there in our community. That you're on. That if you're watching, if you're one of the 100 people currently watching on the two channels. By the way, we're streaming both channels, Mid Atlantic Craps and Roll to Win Craps. Combination, 100 people currently watching. If you're one of those people that watch our community, you know what we're talking about. You know, and I like a lot of other channels. I reach out to these channels all the time and try to get them to come over to and be part of our group and be part of the debate and talk about what they're doing on their channel and helping out. But there are some of those channels out there, and I'm not going to mention any names because you never know, he might be a guest sometime on the show. But you know, those other channels that always show. What was the word I used earlier today, Ed, when we were talking? I don't know. You guys say it right. We're here to educate and entertain. And on the last show, I think a couple people took what you were saying, that you were picking on the average YouTuber. Me, for instance, my channel's an entertainment channel. Ed's an educational channel. You weren't picking on anybody. You were just talking about the ones that don't say it straight. And as Ed put in the title of the video, straight craps talk without the crap or the bullshit. That's what we put on there, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to educate and get and you know, just be as straightforward as we can. And I know, Gargoyle, you reached out to the person that questioned, you know, why you were picking on YouTubers, and I think you clarified it the best that you could with an honest answer. And I also talked to him the next day and basically said the same thing you did. So hopefully, you know, we get some new viewers here. Good. If they come over, we get some of those other YouTube channels to come over, some of the newer channels that have started up. We'd welcome in the community. Just don't put out any falsehoods. Is that what I said earlier, Ed? Falsehoods? Something like that? They're not the facts.
You got about a half a dozen guys that are trying to throw a controlled toss, maybe a little more, but I'm just going to say half a dozen. And after that, everything else is just about bullshit, unless it's just for entertainment value, as far as I'm concerned. Now, Other people freaking love strategies, right? And there's some very nice people out there. They are nice people, but their YouTube channels should be destroyed. And I've been practicing my reaction videos a lot. I hadn't decided if I'm going to do them yet, but after watching some this afternoon, I think I'll go ahead and do them.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, let's go ahead and keep this.
I mean, because people need to know that just because somebody, number one, just because somebody's got a YouTube channel, including myself, you need to vet them, right? But if you go to the casino, I'm going to tell you right now, if you go to the casino and you play some of the bullshit that you see on YouTube as far as strategies are concerned, unless you've got like $15,000, $20,000 in your bankroll, you ain't going to win. You're going to lose. Put John's video or question or comment about Garrison. Yeah. I'll be glad to talk about that asshole anytime you want to.
Well, let's not call any names, but you can talk about them. But there it is.
I'm doing it on my channel, so I can call him that because you know what? He fills my freaking Facebook thing up with damn shit all the time, and he's got his comments turned off and won't let me respond back to it. He wants me to watch his shit, and I'm like, Garrison, I already watched your shit. I don't need to watch it no more. I know you want to sell your fucking books. I don't give a damn. And then he won't let me respond to him, but he fills my damn shit. My inbox is full of his shit. I'm tired of it. Garrison's stuff is freaking snake oil, folks. I don't care if John Patrick endorses him or not. John's a 92-year-old man sitting in a bed that I have a lot of respect for. He wrote a great book. I've got it sitting right there. It's that green book right there. It's that green book right there. I love the book. I like John Garrison. I have but John Patrick. I love John Patrick. But just because he wrote the foreword to your book doesn't mean it's a fucking great book. And Garrison thinks that because he wrote a book and Patrick endorsed it, that he's God sent. And he's got more snake oil and sock puppets on Facebook trying to sell his freaking book, than Downey's got toilet paper.
Well, we can honestly say what Mac said.
Filters off.
Tell it like it is. Tell it like it is.
I told you before, there's three things in this world that don't lie. Do you remember what they are?
All right. I'm gonna put this up here. Yep.
There's three things that don't. There's three things that don't lie. Small children, drunks, and yoga pants.
I knew there was going to be a punchline there. I'm going to put this up here from John. He's over on your channel, so don't get.
All right.
This is a follow up to what he said. He said that's why that trend argument, because I didn't choose the right words to explain that hot topic. So being measured is important, and not having an agenda is also important. I think what he's trying to say is Garrison has an agenda. We here, the three of us, we have an agenda, but we don't have an agenda to teach something that's not accurate. We're here to teach things, educate, and try to make sure people understand the game of craps and that there is a lot of BS that's out there.
Look, house advantage. The house advantage is big. John says it all the time. Time is your enemy.
Yep.
If you stay on the table too long, I've said it before. Most dealers will tell you. I heard John say it. I think this morning or yes, I don't know when it was. He was up a lot, but he kept playing, and then he lost. Time is your enemy. Most people are up and they don't walk away. Cage, I don't know if Downey has toilet paper, but I was running out of air and I had to say something.
Well, your good friend Step Place who said he bought his book this morning.
right? Yeah, words
Well,
words
that'd be a
do
good
matter.
thing to use in the outhouse, Dent.
All right, Gargo, you gotta reply. I'm sorry, you were trying to say something.
No, I was gonna say, words do matter. That's why, when people say, controlled shooter, I say, it's a dice influencer. You can control everything you're doing until the dice leaves your hand. Once the dice leave your hand, there's no control. So it's not fair to say a controlled toss or a controlled. You're trying to influence what the dice does when it leaves your hand. There's no such thing. I don't say trend, I say pattern. You look for certain pattern during the roll, not trends. Because pattern happen, a trend, it's words have meanings, and I try and always get on, you gotta watch, what you say. That's
Yep. All
I
right.
don't.
Can we? You want to move on to the next question, or you want to talk about this?
Sure, let's
no,
go to a new
let's,
question.
let's move on.
Let's go to a new question. Get me off this hot seat.
Fill your cup up. Oh, where
I
did
will
it
in a minute.
go? I had another question already queued up here, and I don't know where it goes. Here it goes. This goes back to something that you mentioned earlier about the wrist rolling, Ed. So I'm gonna put you back up here on the screen. Let me put the question up here first. This comes from Andy, Cajun Craps. Let's put that up there.
Good guy.
What does the result look like when you wrist roll is involved? One lands before the other, or they split. Let me put you back up here on the screen. This is something you talked about just a little while ago on the show.
If my eyes aren't confusing me, that's three different issues.
Yeah. Okay,
So-
there you go.
When you roll your wrist, if you go thumbs up, they land on the right edge of the dice and they run left. Okay, so let me pick up some dice. All right, so instead of being square, if you roll your wrist and they're flying down the table a little bit like this right here, they're going to land on these edges, this edge right here, and that's going to make them run to the left corner of the table. If you go pinky up with your wrist, which is not as rare, which is kind of rare, but not, it happens, then they're going to run here and they're going to run into the corner. So if you're rolling your wrist, thumb up, like you're shaking hands. If I reach out to shake your hand, I've rolled my wrist over, and that's the shot. That's the bad shot.
Okay.
That's the bad shot. I mean, so that's what that part is. I mean, he's got a couple other questions in there, but those are different issues.
You want to talk about it?
Rolling your wrist, that's what it looks like. When you roll your wrist, and when I get tired, when I was playing with Cage and Tunica a year ago, I looked at him and I said, my dice are all running left. That means I'm tired. I'm rolling my wrist. As soon as I'm done, I'm coloring up. One lands before the other is a different thing than splitting. Splitting means you got too much thumb pressure. Usually, you got too much thumb pressure when they split. All right. When one lands before the other, you might have a slight roll. It depends on how they land, but you've generally got too much pressure or too little pressure on the one that's lagging behind. Could be the depth of your fingers on the dice.
Okay. Do you agree with what he just said, Gargoyle? What Ed just said?
I am glad to see he agrees with me because I was scared.
Oh my goodness.
We don't always, Gargo and I don't agree on every single thing out there, right? But the very, very basics of the toss, I think he and I pretty much are in agreement. We don't shoot the same. We've all got our own,
I
own
usually have
intricacies.
longer rolls.
What did he say?
What did who say? Gargoyle say? Repeat that.
I didn't say anything. I was clearing my throat.
You like what your spice guy says there, Ed? He sure wishes you would
I
share
love
your
Old
opinion.
Spice.
and be candid
I
and
went to
stop using
Walmart yesterday and I bought
safes.
some Old Spice, and it made me think of Craig.
Oh
You're
my
welcome,
goodness.
Cajun.
Let's
Cajun's a
see
quality
here.
guy. I appreciate him.
Oh yes, he
Yeah.
is. He is. On
You know,
once.
y'all were talking earlier. We were talking earlier. Something came up. It brought it into my mind. I wanted to bring it up. You know, I like to go do my early morning Sunday. My coffee runs like Sunday morning. I'm getting ready to get out. I've packed. I've kind of taken my time. I kind of dragging my feet a little bit about getting out of town because I'm packing up. I packed up my stuff and I went all the way and I went to my car and I loaded everything up and I came back down and I'm headed to the casino. There's my good bootlegger bud. Bootlegger bud says, "You going to the tables?" And I said, "Well, I was going to go look at it." And he says, "Boy, they're not good." He said, "So and so bought in EPSO twice, colored out." He says, "There's a few guys on there, but they're all randoms." He said, "I didn't even play. I just been standing there watching." I said, "I'll go in there and look." I go in there and I walk to the table, my favorite table in America. Stick left one was open. I bought in with $500. I waited a little bit, made a small bet or two just so I'd make sure I get the dice. I threw the dice and I went, damn, that was an ugly toss. And then I went, the next toss was ugly. I went, that's another freaking ugly toss. I'm like, shit, Ed, you're not throwing good at all. Sevened out pretty quick, 3 or 4 rolls. Lost money. Waited on the dice again. I threw again. I thought about it. And I released those dice. And I went, shit, you're doing the same damn stupid ass thing you were just doing. Quit doing it, Ed. And I couldn't make myself stop. So instead of trying to work through it, I just colored up. I said, okay, I'm done. I know it's Sunday morning. I want to play. And I got up that morning. And my goal, I said to myself in the mirror, you're going to go down, you're going to go and you're going to go win $2,000 and you get in your car and you're going home. That was my deal. I'm going to win $2,000 and I'm going home. And I'm like, color me up. I go to the cage. I've lost $200 of my buy-in. And I get in the car and I went, I need to go hit an ATS. So I drove down to Harris, even though I hadn't played Harris in months. Last time I played it, it was so bouncy. I was like, I don't want to play this no more. I got down there and I was watching a guy to my left. Stick left one was open. Guy straight out to my left was shooting the dice. Let me rephrase that. He was flinging the dice all over the freaking place. And I was watching him. But you know what? It was a crapless table. He was hitting extremes. I was betting extremes on a $15 table. I was up a little bit. So I'm like, okay, that gives me a few bullets. I feel a little better. I watched everybody else. I watched the dice land. And the way they're throwing them, I'm like, this damn table is still bouncing. Dice come to me. And I said, mentally, I'm sitting there going, I got to make these suckers land flat. I went to a 3V dice set. 3-1, 3-5 was what I was tossing. And them suckers landed flat. They cracked when they hit the table. I come back off the wall true, stopped right there, and I went, oh, this might be a good thing. And I just emulated that same toss over and over and over. And by the way, since ATS was a conversation piece on a previous show earlier tonight, it was a $15 table. I bet $30 on the pass line, but I went 10-5-10 because why do you go 10-5-10? It's easier to hit one side or the other than it is to hit the all. So I'm trying to hit that $300 hit. I hit the small, and I probably threw 10 to 12 times more, maybe even more than that, trying to hit 11. I couldn't hit the 11 to save my life. But left one number hanging. I colored up $1,600. out the door immediately. I mean, I let the other guy throw while I was counting my chips, but I knew I was done while he was throwing. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to the house. I didn't make my 2,000, but I got close. We lost Gargo. I think the Grinch got him back there.
I think he's coming back. I think he just went. I just think he went away. I think we might have somebody joining us, joining the show here, but I'm not quite sure yet. 'Cause
Oh
I got
yeah.
a couple more. Got a couple more questions coming in, but we might want to talk about what you just talked about. If he joins the show, he may not now after what you just said, guys. If you're in the chat, we're dual streaming Mid Atlantic Craps, Roll to Win Craps. Please put a capital Q. It highlights it on my side, but I can't pin it. And I understand on my side of the channel, there's God Complex, which is a pit boss. He's got a whole conversation going on my side, and he's answering some good questions. I can't get to all those on this show, but just put a capital Q in front of those, and we'll see.
We need to bring him in sometime. Me and you need
well,
to bring God Complex. Well, he might not want to show his face. That's okay.
I asked him, and I don't think that he can, but we could bring his voice in only. So we'll see if that happens. Yeah, I am too, because that's how we were going to bring it. That's how El Toro is going to come in the show. He's not going to show his face, but you'll hear his voice, and that's all you need. You don't necessarily need to see somebody's face, but that's
exactly.
Now you tell me.
I got a couple other questions coming in here real quick just to clarify that.
Gargo, we always going to have your pictures, even if you don't go to your voice. We'll just put one of your pictures.
Now you tell me.
I'm going to put the picture of that guy up humping you in the butt.
Clarify this from the story you told earlier. Andy wants to know, didn't Ed mention someone getting kicked out of the table last weekend or off the table, or was that Binky? Was that the same story? I think he told both stories.
Yeah, that was the same story. That was Binky. Binky didn't officially get kicked off the table. He just had the dice taken away from him, and he colored up and threw a tantrum and went back to Harris.
All right. Let me see. I had another question on this side. We'll go to your side. This next question is going to come from your side, Ed. Let's see here. Mudslide Mac, next time could you put a capital Q? It makes a question stand out a little more. Question for the panel: how do you feel and deal with the dark side players? Got to tell you, they piss him off. That's Mudslide Mac, and have a negative effect on my game. Me personally, as long as they sit there and be quiet and don't cause issues at the table, I don't have a problem with them. I think we talked about this before. Which one do you want to take this one first?
Well, he don't.
He's pointing towards you.
He don't play with dark side.
Okay. Wait.
Yeah. He don't play with dark side tape, but he can tell you why.
All right. Well, let me switch it back. Let me switch it back up.
He
to
may
the
be
screen.
frozen.
Wrong screen. Sorry, guys. Hold on a second. Let me get my screen up here. That's for when we have somebody else coming in.
I know Gargo doesn't play on tables with dark side players because of the energy and etc. So go ahead, Gargo.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time I'm playing on empty tables, so I don't have to worry about dark side players. But if any one of them comes in or something like that, I just like positive energy, and I know they're trying to play their game, but there are plenty of tables out there. There's nothing wrong with playing dark side, by the way. I just it's not my game, and I'll just color up and give them the table.
All right. Ed, if you don't mind, can I bring in another guest for us tonight? I don't want you to have a conniption here.
Absolutely. I don't know who it is, but bring him on.
There he is.
It's John. You didn't tell me John. I would have said no.
I know you would have said no. That's the reason why. Look, John's a good friend of mine, Ed. You're a good friend, and I've never met Gargo
in his life.
I've never met Gargo in person yet, but I can tell that I think that he and I would hit it off. John, welcome to the show. I know you were over on Ryan's show. Mark the point earlier. ATS was a topic. Ed was just talking about it. I said, "Oh my God!" Of all the times for John to join the show, and then he mentioned Crapless in the same sentence.
Oh my God!
I thought the world had ended because it said something like ATS, Crapless, some other stuff that John doesn't do, DI, and then it was like, here, I'm like, Has the world ended?
Oh
I mean,
my
I
gosh.
couldn't believe John was on there.
John, welcome to the show. At least you can say something.
Good to be here. Good to be here. It's you know how I feel about this stuff. I'm not like I'm not like you're the devil if you play those things. I don't feel that way at all. I just look at some of the math on it, and the crapless thing is just you know how I feel about the casinos trying to screw people. That's what it's all about for me. I just don't like what
John.
I don't like. I just don't like. I don't like
Crapless
that.
is not screwing the people. The people have a choice. They can either
They
play
do have a
it
choice.
or
They
not
do.
play it.
Right. It's like I said, crapless is it's the craps version of 6-5 blackjack, and that's it. Just
No, it's not.
what it
It's totally different.
represents. No. I mean, as far as increasing the edge and ruining part of the game, it's just they just I don't know. There's a mathematical way that they make more money on that game, and I don't know. It drives me nuts that they change the core of these games to never be better for you, and they just make it worse, progressively worse and worse and worse. And that's where the 3-0 roulette, it's all the same to me. To me, they're all the same, and they're just kind of
You're looking at it the wrong way.
just
You're
messing
looking at it the
up.
wrong
You know what I
way.
mean?
I agree with God Complex right there on that statement.
I can't see what he says.
Some of the best shooters in the world are don't players.
Hmm.
They just don't know it. Half of them don't know it. Some of them do it on purpose.
And they shoot
All right,
themselves in the foot most of the time.
Go ahead and give your view on the crapless side, because I tend to believe with John only because I haven't played it enough. But I played it with Ed in Biloxi, and watching him hit the outsides, especially the extremes, was really nice. But that doesn't always happen. So go ahead and give us your opinion. Maybe you can straighten John and me out, Gargoyle.
Crapless table is the best game in town. You gotta look at it.
I love it. Yes.
Don't, John, my friend, don't look at the math. Don't look at the numbers. Don't look at the house edge. The only reason why they make money off of it is because they don't have dark side players playing with them, and they lose money when they have to pay them when the 7 comes on the table. That's how it's not. But it's not really they're making money, okay? But look at it this way. I know some people say, well, if I put a pass line and it's a 12, then what are the odds of me hitting it? You don't look at it that way. Look at it. You already got one of the most difficult number on the ATS to hit if you're playing the ATS. It's out of the way. Now concentrate on the other ones that get easier. The 2, 3, 11, 12, they're just numbers. If you don't want to play them, just play the regulars. Just say, set me up regular table and play regular table. The only thing you can't do is play the dark side. But here's why it's the best game in town. Because you won't see a don't player anywhere near it. And I fucking love it.
I love that you say that, and I said this on Ryan's show earlier tonight. Like, to me, the ATS is an exploitable bet if you bet it right. I think crapless table are very exploitable if you can throw good. We've talked about this, right? And if you watch me throw enough, you'll know I throw a shit ton of horns. Like, I can hammer that thing, and I should be playing crapless more than I do because of the way that I can throw those horns. Like I said, it's a mental block for me. It's not a tactical block. It's not I can't beat it. It's not anything other than I just get pissy because it's even there. And I know that that's very immature of me. And I have to, my money's matters more than being an immature brat. But I'm a brat about it, and that's the reason why. Just because I don't like, just because I get mad that they had the meetings and made that game up in the first place. And that's, honest to God, I know it's stupid. And that's why I always have to clarify it. Like, I'm not coming at it from, I don't really care about the house edge. I've never been a house edge. I know what it is, but I've never played in a way that cares about that.
There's no house edge on a losing bet.
And let me,
Exactly.
since
That's
you
the whole
mentioned
point.
the ATS,
Yeah.
since you mentioned the ATS, let me share my opinions, okay? And those are, again, this is not a betting strategy, or I'm not saying go do what I do. This is just me, what I do. The ATS is a game within a game. I honestly have my bankroll for my game, and I have a separate bankroll for my ATS, and they're different. I keep track of them. So I'm just going to give you an example. I know you have your progression thing. I'm not going to say. Let me tell you how I feel about the play for the ATS. Okay, let's say that out of 100, how many times do you think somebody can hit the ATS?
I
Out of
mean,
100 tries.
right about 1 out of 100. I mean, the full ATS. That's
Yeah.
about the average, right? 1 out of 100 or so. It's like
Okay.
104 or something like
But
that.
but if you're sort of skilled shooter and you can probably hit it at least 3 times. Let's say out of 100 tries,
Yeah.
right? Let's say at least 3 times to keep the math easy for me, right? If you bet 555 every time, that's $15. And by the way, if it's a $15 game, if you have 15 on the pass line and 7, they even out. You just take it and put it up there. But if you bet 555 and you go 100 times, that's $1,500, right?
Yep.
If it hits 1 time, that's $900. 555, isn't that 900? Yeah, I think the math is right. If it, if the math is not right, somebody correct me. But it's
Close
too
to it,
late.
yeah.
But I think it's 5. I think it's 900. So if it hits 3 times, that's 2,700. You started with a $1,500 bankroll for 555 every time you're playing it, times 100. That's 1,500.
Mhm.
And if it hits 3 times, that's 2,700. If it hits twice, that's 1,800. You still made $300. It's a different game within the game. I know you're talking about progression. Just keep martingale
Right.
and go up, 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 up. At some point, it's like, okay, I'm stuck. What I'm the
Yeah.
the the
Up to
the,
100 bucks, I would
the
say.
choice
Yeah.
that I gave you, the choice that I gave you is that if you say I'm gonna have $1,500 dedicated to the ATS for 100 tries, if you hit it only 3 times, you've made what is it, $1,200. This is how you need to think about those
Well, and
bonus
that's what
bets and the
and
ATS.
I said
They
that
are
tonight too on
game
Ryan's
within the
show,
game.
right? Right, and I said that on Ryan's show. If you bankroll that thing as a separate play, where it's you're funding the ATS through your pass line and through 1 or 2 wins up on the table, and you just attack it that way. And I wouldn't Marty it. It was a simple dollar progression. You can exploit that thing big time, especially if you can shoot. If you can shoot, that's the difference, right? And I'm not, whatever. In the last 100 shooters that I saw, myself included, it was only hit once, but I know of it being hit 3 times around me this weekend, right? So I know that it's the numbers that you're saying with the good shooters are it's absolutely possible. 2 out of 100,
Well,
3 out of 100 for sure. That's a thing. If you can grind it, if you can, I saw Arnell. If you can grind it, if you can hammer the numbers, it's not. When I say to people it's the worst bet on the table, it is the worst bet on the table if you're just going to throw 555 on every single player with an equivalent pass line and let that thing bleed your bankroll dry. That's what people do. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of what I teach on these things, it sounds like I'm being like just locked in and super hard nosed about stuff. But I'm looking at the average bear that goes, ooh, 175 to 1. How much is that going to cost me? And they start throwing their money out there. They're getting crushed on that. Where controlled shooters like yourselves and smart players like our audience can
Influencers.
play
Influencers.
actually like pick their spots with it and pick the roles with it. And there's a difference there between, level A players and level, C and D players. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what I always get and that's why like Crapless bugs me too for those players, because they don't know. They're just dropping cum bets out there because somebody told them to. And they're playing $300.
I'm the only guy I have ever seen in 33 years put a comeback on a crapless game.
I've seen people, but the thing, how do I play this game? And the dealers go, well, put a comeback max odds, it's the best thing. And they do it. And they're like, that's where I feel like the casinos are just crushing folks.
Tell
And
Frank,
it's
I ain't had near enough
unfortunate.
brown water yet. I fixed it for another drink.
I'm actually out of brown water. Can you believe that, Ed? I wasn't prepared
What?
at all for tonight. Yeah,
No
out.
way.
out.
You want me to haircut? You want me to send you some fiber booze? I'll send you some
I had so when I fly, you should know I'm a very nervous flyer. So I pre-funked on my way to Vegas and finished it all up on the way down to the airport at 5:00 in the morning. And I came back and I got nothing left.
There's a couple
Yeah.
things.
So,
On the Crapless,
can I
you either got to be on a Crapless. You've either got to be right or you got to get the hell off the table. All right?
Mm-hmm.
You talk about money management. Crapless will steal your money in a hurry if you're wrong. If you're on the wrong numbers, or if it's just nobody's hitting the right things, or if you yourself are not hitting the right things, you got to get the hell off the table quick, because that's a lot of numbers to cover,
Mm-hmm.
and most people don't have the bankroll to cover all those numbers and sustain the losses. Now, on the other hand, if somebody's hitting the right numbers, you're gonna make a lot of money.
Now, when
Right.
you play it,
So
an honest question for both of you guys: when you play it, are you targeting and buying the outsides? Are you buying the extremes? Are you going 2, 3, 11, 12 and playing for that to hammer the bought numbers, or are you playing your regular game and picking up the other numbers as part of that? Like, do you actually go there and try and just attack that table like I think
for
you
me,
would? Like I think you're doing that.
for
Yeah,
me,
I
I'm
think
a
you
cheap.
both-
For me, I'm a cheap player. Okay, I'm a cheapskate. I admit it. It depends a little bit on the table minimum. If it's a $15 table, I'll put $60 on the extremes. I don't care. All right. If it's a $25 minimum table, think about that for a minute. All right. I got $100 on the extremes. If I want the 6 and 8, man, I'm getting on up there pretty good. PSO is going to hurt. But on a $15 table, I buy the extremes. On $25, I buy the 3 and 11 for a quarter each, and I go to the field. As soon as I get a field hit, I buy the 2 and 12 off the field. That means I've got, instead of $25 invested in each number, I've got $12.50 invested in that number. That's the way I look at it.
Now, are you playing
So
the
I got
inside? Are you playing your
$12.50.
regular inside game too, Ed, or no? Do you play your regular inside
Yeah, I'm
game as
playing my
well?
right.
Are
I'm
you
playing
targeting
6 and 8.
the outside?
I'm playing 6 and 8 and extremes and the field. And if I have to, I'll go ahead and buy the 5. I very rarely play the 9. I'm going to play the 3 and 11. We'll go 2 and 12. Then I go 4 and 10. Now, by then I probably got the 5, and I'm not even worried about the 9 anymore unless it gets hot. Yeah. Hey,
I play
the most 12s I've ever thrown in one hand is 5. Okay. And that's a pretty good lick. That's a pretty good lick at 6-1.
Yeah, it is.
Because I press.
I play the regular game, but I tell you what, if I set any of the horns, any of the extremes, I double my fast line bet and I go max odds, because that's where I'm gambling. That's where I'm gambling, because when it hits the math that it pays you, you just collect the chips and just kind of put it in the rack. It's a beautiful thing to do. But other than that, no, I'm just playing the insides.
Right.
Or the regular, whatever you want to call
You
it.
just want to avoid me playing the don't pass. That's all.
Well, I was going to say something to you, but now that you said that, I'm not going to say
It's okay. I'm not
I was
a
gonna say- I
hardcore
was
don't
gonna
pass
say, dude,
max odds hater guy.
No.
Right?
I was going to say, dude, you killed it this past weekend. That was an awesome event. I want to say it to you right now, face to face. I streamed
thanks.
the whole thing. That was an awesome event, and I don't, I know you wanted to just go to bed at some point, but you just stood there and hang along with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, somebody new coming into this thing and seeing you do this. Thanks for doing it. I just wanted to say that.
I appreciate you saying that. I love doing it. like honest to God, if I tell my wife this all the time, my morning show that I do for an hour a day, if I could do that 20 hours a day, I would do it all day long. Like this show that we're doing here, I would do this all day if I got paid for it. I just love doing it. I could talk about this stuff all day long and play crazy games and have I just love it so much. And the fact that it was for a good cause, and I wrote to Ed in chat. I'm not sure if you saw the comment, and I texted him this too. I know that his son deals with PTSD, and like the entire time I'm there, that's what I'm thinking about, because as a friend, number one, but more importantly, this charity, it's a dog. Sorry, it's a dog for a person, right? That's what they do. And I know that whatever dog we helped pay for is going right into somebody's house, like Ed's son. Yeah. It's going right into somebody's living room, that dog. It's not like we burned the money on a bunch of corporate fees. Like it's
we got.
I mean,
it is very emotional for you. It's very emotional for you. Yes,
it is, and I think. And when I look at, like I said, I picture people's kids. I'm like, it's like this is going to help somebody's kid who's considering making a bad decision. You know what I mean? And it's like
you're saving lives, buddy.
I'm never going to stop doing it. I'm never going to stop doing this, right? And it's like I'm so glad that you're part of what we do here. You impacted the thing so much you have no idea. You know what I mean? And you really did. And I can't thank you enough for what you did for us. And I'm looking at like the people in chat that I recognize their names. Sarge is out there too. Like it's just touching. It really is. And I said we can have all the arguments we want to about crafts.
Thank you for letting us help. Thank you for letting us help. And I want to go back like 45 minutes now. So not being on camera and just doing audio is a fucking option. Now you're telling me this?
No, that's never been an option for you, Gargo.
I mean, come on.
Only El Toro gets that privilege. And that's just kind of written in the bylaws and the landbox that we all play.
Drink some more brown water. Let's go to the craps question.
I just poured a little bit more. How much more you want me to drink? I got to pee already.
You said you're going to drink the whole bottle. I didn't do anything and I was exhausted.
I ain't drinking all that. I'll drink some of this stuff behind me.
Let me tell you all something. I've never.
That's too good to drink while you're drunk.
Yeah. While we're on the craps for the cure, I want to tell you something. You may not always agree with what John has to say, but I'm telling you, his heart is bigger than his whole body. I've known John 2 years now. This is 3. It is. I mean, it is. It's just he's just got this persona about him that he's a very caring, compassionate person. And John and I don't always agree on everything, and we disagree too. But to sit there and watch what he did this past weekend was just incredible. And he never stopped moving. And then Sunday night, we're having dinner at Ramsey's, and I think it was Buckeye and Corey and his wife, Chris, and me. Somebody else was there, and all John said was, "Hey, I'm on my way over. Have me a whiskey ready." And I don't know anything about whiskey. And Chris Diestegian ordered him. I believe it was a Maker's, if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. But you got down there, and it didn't take you long to finish that one. But the place had shut down, and we continued to talk about the event. What was good about it, what we could do better next year. I shouldn't say what John can lead the team to do better next year. But, throughout the 2 days, Gargo, I was texting back and forth with you. And the things that you did and, the felt that you offered and the amount of chances you bought on some of the auction items. There's hundreds of other people out there that bid on those things. And if John hadn't had this idea 3 years ago from his basement, we wouldn't have been where we were today. We did fall short on a dog. But that's 28,000 more than they didn't have. And John, again, I thank you. I love you like a brother, but there are things on craps that John and I don't specifically agree on, but we agree on one thing, and that is this game is interesting and it's fun, and we want to make sure people get the right information.
Well, and I'm getting the hard hat. I'm getting the hard hat. I'm going to put it in a case, and it's going to go right there along with the collection, where anytime I'm on camera now, you can see the hard hat in the case, because that has a special meaning to this community. And I bid it, like all of it, almost every ticket, because I wanted to keep it here because it represents something for this community.
I'm glad it's going to you. I think you're gonna treat it with the respect that it should be treated with, which is cool. And like I said, this community is pretty cool. Like you're new to like this little group that we have here, but like the first Craft the Cure, I was a nobody, like literally nobody back then, and like that's how I met Ed. That's how I met Jeff and we knew each other a little bit, but by bringing people in and interviewing them for the first time and kind of getting to know them a little bit, it's like you expand your circle. And I'm telling you, what we have here is we don't have to all agree. I don't care about that. There's a lot of respect and there's a lot of good people. Like there's a lot of just good.
And we make fun of each other a lot, or at least I do.
Totally, and it's all good people. Like there's only a couple of real, jerk offs. Most people here are really solid. 99.8% of them are super solid, right? Yeah. But you know what I'm saying. There's a few outliers, but for the most part, it's a great group, and you can see what we did. We came together, and we're coming together. Like look at Ed, you got what, or Jeff, you got what, 80 people watching over 2 channels.
Yeah, currently 80.
On a Thursday night, midweek, there's a football game going on. There's more people watching us than watching the football game. Like that's cool stuff.
And I'm already started making plans.
We got more questions. I hate to interrupt, but we are on. We are. We got any more questions?
Oh yeah, we do have some. We do have some more questions, Ed. If you have to step away, I was getting ready to say this. I know Ed said he might have to go make a little stop, but if you needed to step away, Ed, you can and come back. We're going to be here. We do have a couple more questions.
Away, everybody knows we're going to be.
We got questions. We have questions. And so let's go ahead and put this up here. This comes from Dice Dr. Dan. He says, how long should someone expect to practice before seeing dice influencing results? Is that 1,000 rolls, 2,000 rolls, or 10,000 rolls? I know I've rolled more than 10,000 in here, and I don't think I'm any better. But, Ed and Gargo, you've been doing it a long time. John, you've been, throwing however many rolls on your table with that chopper for 2 years straight. What's the answer?
Still not seeing any results.
I'm not, but I see things that I do, from the mechanic standpoint.
I hate to say this, but it depends. It depends on the person's skill set and how fast they can pick up dice influencing. Some people can pick it up really fast. Other people takes time, and it also depends on the type of throw that they're throwing. People think the chopper is easy just because they can twist the dice. Look, it's the most difficult toss out there. Just because you're twisting the dice and they're landing, it doesn't mean that you're doing it right. And if you're getting boo-boos on your toes, anybody, talk to yourself about why you're getting boo-boos. I call it a random shot, and I even tell Cage it's a random shot. It's not a random shot for him. And probably, I haven't seen Mad Dog, but Sarge, I've seen Sarge toss it. I think those guys are getting it. It's a random shot because if you don't do it the right way, where it lands flat evenly with the right rotation and goes back to the wall and stops, if it goes to the back wall and comes around multiple times, it's random. Because you're going to get random results no matter how much you set the dice. And the more you twist on it, the more it hits the wall hard. It took Cage 9 months to even throw it right before he even started seeing any results. It's not something you pick up and toss. Oh, look, I'm twisting, I'm throwing the chopper. I'm not insulting anybody, but I'm telling you, the results is when it lands and hits the back wall, which is true to almost any shot that you do. But with the helicopter shot, it's the most difficult one to master. And take it from somebody that can shoot it from any position at the table. That's how long I've been doing it. And it took a long time to see results. And most of the time I don't use it because it is sometimes, if I'm not on, it is completely random. And I don't do random at the table. So I go to my regular, drop shot or stuff. So again, it depends on how good the person can pick it up and start seeing results.
Okay.
So to get to the numbers, Gargoyle, let me ask you this, because this is the thing. As I've coached baseball and hockey as well, and the number is 10,000, right? 10,000 things to build muscle memory, good or bad, I suppose. So once you get to the point where I'm going to put air quotes, you got the toss, you can do it from all the spots. What's the level of practice that you put in daily? Like every day, the routine. Then I know that Ed talks a lot about, like, over the course of time, he does a book of 720 through Bone Tracker, which is like about the window you want to look at in terms of, it sounds like from what it says, it's the right window of results. 36 being not nearly enough, 10,000 being way too much to kind of track your current pocket. On a daily basis, what are you doing? And at the casino, even, like you say, when you don't have it, you don't have it. I knew the other day I didn't have it, and I switched out. Luckily, I did. Right? What does that look like for you? Because I think a lot of
Ed
people
can
overdo
tell
it.
you.
I think
Ed,
100
Ed
days
can
is
tell you for the last 2 weeks I've been in holy hell. Look at the table behind me. What's missing?
The
Can't see it.
walls.
Walls.
The rails.
Mm.
Remember, this is a 30, 35-year-old table, maybe a little bit older. I picked it up from a casino, from a guy who got it from an old style casino, and I've been restoring it. I thought I knew what I was doing to the rails, and I ruined the rails. So Kelly Knox, the guy that built Ed's table, he has a factory
Yeah.
here. He came in and picked up the rails, and he's trying very hard to restore it. I put some kind of liquid, and it ate through the wood. He's trying to restore it. I'm in holy hell because I used to get on this table at least 2 hours a day with my knowledge and what I do. I put in 2 hours every day of practice. My practice now is different, but it's still at least 2 hours. I practice set the point, throw 4 times,
Yeah.
and try and see if you can do 5 and walk away. But I come back and do it, and I do it over and over and over. Or if I'm tossing a different toss, at least 2 times every day, 7 days a week, 300, unless something's wrong. Like when I hurt my shoulder, I was there with the arm sling on the left side of the table, going like this, practicing my left hand. If you don't, it's not about losing muscle memory. It's about losing everything else around the muscle memory. You gotta practice. You gotta practice. If you work out at the gym, you will go on a regular basis. When you retire from work and you're 65 and retired, you don't stop going to the gym because you're all of a sudden everything starts getting flabby, and you gotta keep the muscles up, right? It's the same thing. You gotta put into practice every day, regardless how good you are or how bad you are. You gotta put the time. The eye is a what?
Lifestyle.
It's a way of life.
Yep.
You gotta put into practice.
Ed looked like you wanted to comment something.
Well, I mean, there's absolutely nothing there to disagree with. I mean, when I built my first rough table, still 12-foot table, all right, I practiced back then 2 hours, 3 hours a night, every single night, 30 to 45 minutes every single morning. I don't get to practice as much now, but I practice every night. I practice every night, an hour or two every night. I'm listening to John. I'm listening to Mark this evening. I'm sitting here throwing the dice. I've got them on, but I am practicing, and I'm more focused on my toss. I'm using them more as a distraction because I can't agree with everything they're saying. So I'm just listening to them and getting pissed off and throwing the dice.
Well, here's a question that goes along with what we were talking about. Larry wanted to know any suggestions for a new player who wants to become a DI but doesn't have a table for practicing. Any suggestion, advice, words of wisdom?
Well, we're probably going to get several different things or different viewpoints, but I mean, first thing you can do is you can practice your grip. If you own a pair of dice and you got a job or you got a car, you can put them in your car. You can grab them while you're sitting at a red light. You can set them at your desk and you can pick them up and you can look at them as my dice. Set them down. Am I gripping them the same? You can do that if you don't have anything else. All right. I mean, Heavy took a drawer out of an old cabinet or something, knocked out the front rail with a hammer, put a piece of felt down in the front, and just started throwing into that. Now, is that optimal? No, but it's better than nothing. You can at least practice your grip, and you can practice hitting a landing zone. You can do that. That's about all you can do if you throw it into a drawer, right? But you get enough, and then maybe save some out of your bankroll if you win a little bit. Buy something that's a little better. Buy a shooting station. I mean, there's all kinds of. Some of them are rip-offs; they're too expensive. But there's all kind of places out there that you can buy something to throw into down the road, even if it's just a little shooting station. I mean, you've seen the old pictures from Tales of the Table. There was a lot of shooting stations sitting out there that they would bring in their briefcases, right? Eventually, build your own table. You ain't got to be perfect, but build something don't build a 6-foot table because you ain't none out there you can play on. Build you a 12-foot table and learn to play on that 12-foot table.
All right.
Build it yourself.
One thing I gotta say,
If you go back and look at my channel, when it first started, you were on my homemade table.
Mhm.
It was a homemade rough lumber table. You want to hit like he says, Jeremy says, hit it. Get you one of them. Get you a coffee can. Get you a bubble gum thing that's got a 45-degree angle. See if you can throw 10 out of 10 into that
I throw chips in.
thing.
I spin chips into my bubblegum container still. That's my warm up every day. I get the bubblegum container up.
There's all kinds of things you can do. Not everybody has it. Not everybody has it. I understand that, and I'm one of the lucky people. Otherwise, if Kelly hadn't reached out to me, I'd still be playing on my homemade table, and I wouldn't care. Got a new layout coming in tomorrow.
One piece of advice I got: the throwing station. I used to have a throwing station. I built one first, and 2 mistakes I made with it that will help if you have the room. One mistake was it wasn't the right height. So make sure your deck is the right. You got to make sure you're throwing from 28 inches or whatever the right deck height is, because mine was too high, and I developed I think a bad habit from that. The other thing was throwing stations where you have like your launching station thing, and then like a bunch of floor, and then your tables over there. Like throwing over a chasm is hard. So the biggest difference to me was when in the interim time, I made a 12-foot surface that wasn't the real table, but at least had like Sarge has. Sarge got 3 things put together, so you're not throwing over a hole in the ground, because that changes your vision. It gets wacky, I think, and I had a hard time like being right with that.
You take a guy that Gargo and I both know. His name is, we call him Banker Dude. He does not own a table. He owns a throwing station. He is the best straight out shooter in North America right now. And he throws every day into that throwing station from straight out. And there's nothing between the throwing station and his little landing box. That's all he's got. But when he gets on the table, you're going to bet on him. I promise you that, because he's the best straight out shooter you're ever going to find. And he can vary what he wants by the spin, not by the set, but by the spin. There ain't many people out there that can do that.
Wow. Ed, did you see this question that Chris Demon Dog asked for both you and Gargo about the dice and where you grip top and the dice are deeper? Can you answer that question?
Start with Gargo, because he got a different grip than I do.
All right, and he wanted to know why too, and why.
Yeah. I grip him very, very light from the top. I don't put too much skin on them because I get very sweaty hands, and with sweaty hands, the more skin you have on the dice, it will, you know, it will stick to it. So I grip them on the top edges, and even with the with the helicopter or anything, I grip the edges, and but that's why, because I don't like a lot of contact, skin contact on the dice, because it affects my toss.
All right. Following that up while we're
So
talking about.
I use a 3-finger. He's grabbing them on the cut edges, kind of a Yuri style toss. I won't say Yuri style. Um, I will do a Yuri style if I start getting a lot of extreme grip or stickiness, because I'm in the South and, hey, it's humid, blah, blah, blah. But I have a very skinny 3-finger grip anyway, for the most part, because I don't like a lot of skin contact. So it's, if you had the 6s lined up out there against these 3 fingers, I'd probably be about a half a pip deep myself, because I don't like skin. I don't like skin on them. But if that's not working, I might go a little bit deeper. I might go to a full pip. It just depends on what's happening at the time. So you got to be able to adjust. But when I practice, it's about a half pip on the front, half pip on the back. I don't like skin.
On that toss, Ed, with the half pip versus the Yuri style on the cut edges, do you feel like you're different because you've been throwing for so long? But do you feel like you have like less control, or the dice are more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like harder to keep together when you're that close to the edge on a straight end versus being on the cut edges? Feels like that's
Not
so
really.
Yeah.
Not for me. I feel like they stay about the same. I mean, I've got a lot of flaws in my toss. When I grip them with, it's kind of odd, but for me it works. It's like when I do the Yuri style grip, where I'm doing it on the edges, it ends up being more of a no spin, way less spin, almost a drop shot type of toss.
Really?
Because of shooting from the deck. Yeah. Now, if I turned them over and laid my knuckles on the table, then I'd get a lot of spin. But if I'm laying the dice down on the table, I don't get a lot of spin. I get almost a drop shot with the Yuri toss, with the Yuri grip.
Yeah. I feel like when I do the cut edge par shot, it's like they spin like way faster. Like I have to think about.
You have to control it. You have to control it.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
I can do it to where it's barely a spin and a drop shot.
Huh.
You control it with this, with the wrist. If you do it like that, it's gonna spin. But if you control it, you can do that. Jeff,
Yes.
because we had a question about a new, and somebody wants to new DI and stuff like that. Is it the right time for the segment for Gargo's cheap trick of the trade?
Sure. I mean, we're good. We're actually at the 2 hour mark. And last time you didn't even know 2 hours flew by. We've been streaming 2 hours. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Gargo's cheap trick of the trade. I gotta
All
bring it here and make sure the camera sees it. Hang on.
All right. All right. This ought to be good, Ed.
I know exactly what it is. It will be.
I'm going to switch over to full screen here. Just 1 second.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
And I this is not rehearsed. I keep that next to me at the craps table. Number 1, get you a bowl, get you a rag, put it whatever you want on the craps table, and practice tossing dice into it. The reason for the rag is so that you won't hurt the edges. You can move it around anywhere you want, and that could be your landing zone. You want to put it here, here, here. If you want to know what your dice is doing when it hits the back wall, sometimes slow motion cameras won't pick it up. Everybody knows what this is. If you have a kid,
Oh yeah.
okay, you put it against the back wall. When you throw the dice, it hits it. It makes the imprint. And now you can see whether the dice came in flat, straight, crooked.
Wow.
This is cheap. It's $20. You just hold it like that against the back wall, on the table, and then you throw, and then you just reset. If you want to know what your dice is doing when it hits the table, real simple, real cheap. Again, cheap tricks of the trade. I got a towel because you got to put a towel on the table when you do this. Hopefully you guys can see it. You can't see it. I'm
We
gonna take it
cannot.
back.
There you go.
There you
Take
go.
it back. This is you go to Home Depot, you get you a paint pan, whatever you want to call it, for the roller brush, right? You get you some play sand. You put the play sand. When you throw the dice, make sure the play sand is not hard. It's the thin kind, so that it doesn't just toss the dice and bang it. When you hit it, it leaves an imprint, and the imprint could be and then it may roll, but you'll see where it lands. And if it's flat, you see a flat imprint. And I'm not gonna go like this and show it to you because I'll have sand all over here. And then with a spatula, you can go like that, like the Chinese garden, and then you throw it again. So this will tell you, because the dice will stop, it will drop dead. It will tell you exactly how it's landing. So if you have two die, if you see the imprints like this, flat, you're doing good. If you see them like this, you're doing good. If you see one like this and one like that, that's how they land. And based on how they land, you can guess how they're going to roll and what you need to fix. Gargo's cheap tricks of the trade.
There you go. Gargoyles, cheap tricks of the trade. Wow.
That's almost as good as a broomstick.
It
Jeff.
is. It actually is. I know a couple of comments came in here. I guess some of that stuff we have never thought of, but that is just that's incredible. Well, guys, look, it's been
There's
2 hours.
all kinds of things at home you can do to learn how to read your dice, and he just showed you 3 of them right there. Nothing expensive, nothing fancy, simple stuff that nobody's thought about. Another thing you can do, Gargoyle's not a fan of it because he likes the sand, but you can take aluminum foil, lay it out across your landing zone, and it's going to leave an imprint or it's going to leave a cut. If it leaves an imprint, you're landing flat. If it leaves a cut, they're landing on the edges. I mean, all kinds of simple things like that you can do.
All right. As I was getting ready to say, it's been. Oops, John just put a question. John, you could ask that question. So let me come back to that question. Gargo, you got a question here from John on the screen here. How do you account for the height and the depth of those things being different?
So you're like an inch off the back wall, an inch off the deck. How do you do it? Are you making a different adjustment to know what you're doing there?
Back wall and deck. Yes. So,
Yeah, 'cause that toy's about an inch thick. I've got one. I actually have one upstairs. I'm going to use that, but it's an inch in from the back wall. So your dice would have another potential turn before they hit the real back wall with that. So do you adjust your landing zone?
So what I'm looking for is, how are they hitting? Are they hitting at an angle? Are they hitting flat?
Mm-hmm.
How are they hitting? Because you want them to hit as flat as possible. Because you're already going to get a randomized angle because of the eggshells, right? But if the dice hits it at an angle, it increases the odds of more randomness. From the deck, you gotta get them as flat as possible, depending on the bounce, But you gotta get them as flat as possible because then they deaden. Is that a word? They slow down. They take the whole force of the velocity and pretty much go like this when they hit the back wall. So they I don't know what the word I'm looking for. They deaden the bounce to the back wall if they lay flat. If they lay on their edges or worse like this on one edge,
point. Yeah,
it's just gonna fly over. It's gonna fly over. I don't know if anybody saw the video with Alfredo when he was shooting and he started getting frustrated, and I started working with him a little bit. He couldn't find his landing zone and stuff like that. He was sending the dice. He was throwing them like this, but they were going to the left, and they were hitting the table at an angle, hitting the back wall at an angle, rolling all the way to the left. And so finally, I worked with him at least to kind of throw straight, right? But energy dissipation. Thank you, Cage. That's what I'm trying to do. They dissipate the energy if you get them to dead bounce, they dissipate the energy to the back wall and they just die like two flat tires. That's what Gage says. They die like two flat tires. And this is the trick. I mean, you gotta know the bounce. You gotta learn the landing zone. And if you're tossing this way, like this, your release point is what sets where they're going to go. If your release point is high, they're going to go high and further down. If your release point is low, they're going to go a little bit, back from the back wall. However, regardless of where your release point is, your hand needs to go all the way with the follow through. That's another thing that I told Alfredo to do while you're shooting. Imagine you're reaching out and grabbing that back wall. But now where you release is determined on where your landing zone wants to be.
All right. That's good stuff. This last 30 minutes has been really, really good stuff. We have one final question for tonight, and then we're going to close it out with a statement from each one of you. So I'm going to go back from the DI side. From a new person, I guess he's asking us from a rookie, how important is it to take odds on the pass line? And the last time I was in Vegas, I saw people get mad because I did place odds on the pass line. And my first comment would be, it's probably because your pass line odds were in the way of somebody trying to shoot. But I'll let the experts here answer that question. Who wants to go first?
I think you nailed it, Jeff. If nobody's getting mad at you for taking odds. They're probably just in the way. Is most likely what it is.
Yep. What do you think? What do you think, Ed?
Well, I think the most common misnomer is you got to play a pass line to play craps, and that is not true. You do not have to play a pass line. In fact, quite frankly, in my opinion, you shouldn't even pay a pass line. I mean, you should not play a pass line unless you're shooting. Now, if you're wanting to bet the ATS, they may require it. But you don't have to place odds. You can still place the bet yourself, right? You can still place the bet, flat odds on the pass line. And you're probably going to make more money with the place bet anyway, for the most part. But nobody should get mad at you for doing it on yourself. I mean, I always place 2 to 4 times odds on my pass line every time because I want to try to hit that point. A lot of people don't care about hitting the point. I figure if I hit it once, I'm probably going to hit it twice. It's harder, you get on into hitting 3 or 4, 5, 6 passes. It's kind of tough. But if I place odds, let's just say I'm playing 4 times odds. If I'm placing 4 times odds on a point, if I haven't hit it, I kind of got this mental rule. If I haven't hit it in 3 shots, I pull it down to 50. So instead of 100 odds, I go to 50. I just reach down, pick up 2 quarters, put it in the rack. Next shot, I hit the point, and I cuss myself, and we go on to the next point.
All right. You see what God Complex said there, don't you? He agreed with you.
I missed it.
He said, that's right, Ed. You should never play the pass line unless you're shooting.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, everybody talks about the 7 or the 11. Well, you can take $3. If you want a 7, you can take $3 and hop the reds right there. You can take $3. If you're worried about covering your ATS and not winning anything, Put $6 in action, $3 red, $2 $5 world, dollar ace deuce. Shoot for the world. I watched Heavy hit 8 world bets in a row this weekend. Some of those were sevens. Those are pushes.
Wow.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
we weren't on an ATS table, so it didn't really matter. But, I mean, it's how you want to play the game. I mean, some of us, myself included, we like to play this little come-out game. Especially, well, we don't care if it's an ATS table or not. We may try to shoot, we may try to snipe off, if we can, a couple of extremes. We're going to get paid, right? We're not making a big bet, but if we snipe off a 2 and an 11, hey, or if we're even luckier and we get an 11 and a 12, hey, I only got 3 numbers I got to hit before I can get a bonus bet on the ATS. So it depends on how you want to play. Depends on how proficient you are with your sets and your toss. Because the same sets that you're hitting extremes with are not the sets you're going to want to use with your toss on inside box numbers, for example. So you got to practice. I mean, we've been over that ad nauseum about practice, but you can't use something that's called a frickin' kissing set, whatever a frickin' kissing set is, and think you're going to hit something. I mean, sometimes you're going to get a little luck. We all will take. Every one of us will take luck anytime it happens. We're throwing for 6s and 8s, and all of a sudden we hit a 12, and we look over there and we only need a 9. Hell, I'm changing my sets to my 9 set, my 5 and 9 set. I'm going to try to hit that 9 because I want to get that tall hit. Right? Then I'll worry about the small side. I'll go from there and I'll make a decision. Do I want to keep pounding a certain number with the original set, or do I want to change sets and try to get into that small side? All of a sudden, I've hit a 2 or I've hit a 3. Okay, I need a 2. I've been hitting a lot of bottom numbers. I want to change to a cross 6 set with 1s on the bottom. Next thing you know, 3 tosses later, you've hit a 2. All this being said, the last 6 ATSs I've bet, I've left 1 number hanging. So there you go.
So if you only left one
Doesn't mean
number
I didn't
hanging,
try. I've left 1 number hanging on the last 6 ATS bets I've played. Now, it's going to happen. I couldn't get them. I've always said, if you don't hit if a shooter, quote unquote shooter, doesn't hit that ATS in 15 or 18 rolls, he's probably going to roll 30 and never hit it.
So when you said you left one hanging, does that mean you hit one side or the other?
Oh yeah, you hit one side, but you didn't get to all.
Right.
Yeah. So the last 6 times I've played the ATS, and my primary table doesn't have an ATS. Don't forget that. But the last 6 times I've played ATS tables, I've left 1 number hanging for the all. Couldn't hit it, couldn't snipe it, couldn't hit it, whatever you want to call it. You know what? I made a lot of money off those because I pounded the same number.
Arnell wants to know if you laid the last number.
If it can't lay an 11, bro.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I can't lay an 11. I've left 11 hanging so many times I could shoot myself.
When I hit the ATS here in Seattle that one time, I had 26 rolls into it, and it was the 8 I needed. I got it, but it took 28 rolls.
Here's a good trivia question. Here's a good trivia question for the mathematician who's right below me on my screen. What does a $37 yo pay?
Good Lord. Did you buy it or did you just place it?
You can't buy a yo. Talking about on a regular table.
I think
talking about
$37 yo.
$37 yo. What does that pay?
7 times 15 is 75, and 30 times 15 is a lot. It's 450, so $525.
$555.
That's close. That's close, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you go, buddy, from 555 Craps, right?
Leaving it up.
I don't know where he got his name from, but a $37 yo pays $555. How many yos can you throw in a hand? If you can throw a lot of yos, bet $37. Don't bet nothing else.
Yeah.
Let Mid-Mo take care of you, baby.
There you go. Let my
$37.
Well,
$37 plays 555.
but we had
I think the
26 of them all
Mid-Mo-Yo
weekend.
magic might have left us. I think Mid-Mo-Yo's magic might have been gone after that shot that Chris had. I think
Well,
after
you know,
that miracle,
you gotta make your own magic. If you got a set, you can throw some yos. Bet $37 on the yo.
Have you watched my show? Have you seen me? You see me pick myself off the don't with those yos over and over and over again. Oh my god!
I worked for it.
Well, gentlemen, it's coming down to the wire here. I know when you were on the show last time, Gargoyle, the 2 hours went by. We're pushing beyond the 2 hour and 45-minute mark or 2 hour and a half mark. So we're going to come up here and we're going to get ready to finish the show up. I'm going to let Ed, the last thing I want you to talk about is the holiday special. So you can talk about it, but let's give our guest an opportunity to say something. Gargoyle, anything tonight that you want to talk about? And let me ask you this question. I'm going to put this up here on the screen. Do you agree with God Complex that he was talking about what we were just talking about the previous 8 minutes? Come bets and odds don't help your ratings, and it slows the game down.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, there's a reason why the casino doesn't give you comp on your odds against on the come and the pass line. Well, one of them is because the math says that they're one of the better bets to do because they pay better. One of the better paying, I guess, for the bet. I when I'm shooting, depending on what game I'm playing, I will put max odds behind my pass line. I don't play the come bets. I don't do that game. But yeah, I do agree with him, and it does slow the game down because the dealers now have to take it and put more place bets or pass line bets on those lines where the place bets go. So, yeah.
All right. Any final words of wisdom for us tonight? Can we look forward to that Gargoyles Tricks of the Trade or whatever the slogan you had there? Can we look for more in the future?
Yeah, I've got plenty. I know a lot of videos out there are for entertainment and stuff like that. Every now and then you can pick up something. I know a lot of our conversations, sometimes it's BS, but Ed, I can speak for Ed, of course, for this and myself. Whatever we're saying, we're giving you the hard, God honest truth about how we feel because we've been playing the game, for a very, very long time. You got folks out there that've been playing it for a year and a half, and all of a sudden they got a microphone and a camera and they're giving advice like they've been doing it for 400 years. I was talking to Cage earlier on the phone, and I was telling him that we're brothers in arms. We bled money and time and effort for years and we put in the experience. The money that I've lost on these tables before I learned how to, what I'm doing is unreal. When we say something, we're not saying it just to say, oh, look at this guy or something. We're trying to help others not to make the same mistakes we made going through this. So hopefully what we're saying here helps others avoid some of the mistakes that we made.
All right. John, before I turn it over to Ed, welcome to the show. I mean, thank you for coming on to the show. I know it was unexpected.
Yeah.
But,
Your chat, that's why.
What was that?
So I was blowing up your chats with like just random, and you're like, hey, just join the damn show. I'm like, all right, join the show.
Oh, I know, and you chimed in right at the right time when they were talking about Crapless and the ATS. Oh man, I just sent John the link, and he's going to come in here, and it's going to be Crapless and ATS, and he just got done with the Ryan show. Wow. But
the thing is, though, like I said, I'm not dogmatic about this stuff. Right? Never. I don't do that. I told Ryan, I don't play a math game. I just don't. I play the way I play. It's a lot of it's feel, a lot of it's experience. I don't let the math rule me like a lot of people do. And I think that's it's, when I see that, it's a shame. Like the house edge rules your whole life. drive yourself crazy doing that. You know what I mean? I look at this game like it's supposed to be fun. Got to make some money at it, obviously. And now I'm in it now in my older years with the tossing to build skill. I bet really, really good. I've never thrown good. I never cared about it until the last couple of years. So yeah, I'm, if you're from 0 to 10, I'm a 0 on the throwing right now. Right. I'm happy to have friends that can throw, that can guide me along in that journey. That's really cool.
Well,
You know
thanks
what
for
I mean? And
yeah. Yeah, well, appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on the show. Your insight today. I think the controversy. No, did I say controversy? I think the debate. I said controversy on purpose. I think the debate between the three of us or the four of us. I kind of like stayed out of it, but it's good. I think debate's good for the game. You've heard me say that many times, John. That we don't have to agree with everything, but the debate gives people an opportunity to decide for themselves and open up their minds to beyond past line, max odds, combat, max odds, and so forth. So thanks for coming on the show. Gargo, thanks for coming on the show. Ed, you're planning something for the future here in a few weeks. Tell us about it.
First, let me say a couple things.
Uh-oh,
I appreciate all three of y'all being on here on 50% of the channel, which is mine. 50% is yours, 50% is mine. So I appreciate y'all. Couple things on Crapless real quick. I've been playing Crapless for 15 years. Everybody acts like it's a new thing. It's not a new thing. It's been around a long time. 15 years might be an exaggeration. It could be the brown water. But I've been playing a long time. You go to northern Mississippi, for example. That's the first time I ever saw a Crapless table. You go to Tunica. All right? So you go to Tunica, you go into two of the biggest casinos there that's still left, and they're big and they're still busy. They got 8 tables, half of each casino. 4 of the 8 are Crapless, right? And there's a reason for that. People are playing them, right? If they weren't playing them, they'd take them out. That don't mean people are winning, but that means people are playing, right? So you got to decide. Now, Crapless is a dangerous game wherever you are. Don't play the one at Harris. That's the last time I was there. That sucker was about 2 inches high on the right versus the left. So don't play it. It's a stupid rigged table. It's not level. If the table's not level, don't play it. Even though it's Crapless, right? But if you get on a good table, all right, number one, don't bet. If you're on a Crapless, where I play, nobody plays a pass line except the shooter, right? It's not even required to play the ATS. Okay, you can play an ATS. You can hop the reds for $3, and you're covered. If you got a 5.55 out there, right? For $3, you can cover your ATS, no problem. Right? I do have a Christmas special. I'm going to call it that. Don't care if it offends anybody or not. It's going to be a Christmas special, holiday special, whatever somebody else would prefer to call it. Going to get Gargoyle's already agreed to be on it. Heavy's agreed to be on it. And us three are going to just sit here and shoot the shit and talk about old times, good times, and how we play for a couple hours, whatever. You have graciously agreed to be the host. And because you got the software, you're the magic man with the software, and I appreciate that. So, I enjoy playing Crapless, Snake Eyes there, but I guarantee you get a lot of money out there quick, and I play it cheap. And for me to win, there got to be some longer rolls. There got to be something besides 3 rolls for me to win money on it. And if you're not winning, it's like Heavy said, if it ain't fun, leave. If you're not having fun, get off the table. And fun equates to winning money as far as I'm concerned. So I'm there to win. If I'm not winning, I'm going to color up and go somewhere else. I'll lose $200. I'll make that up in a little bit. So you got to play smart, people. That's your tagline, play smart. But you've got to find a way to balance yourself. Don't go in there and go crazy. Just like last Sunday morning, my toss sucked at the first place. I mean, I was ashamed of myself at the way I was tossing the dice. Went down the road, killed it. But that's what it takes sometimes. It takes a change. Go to a different casino, stop, go eat breakfast, go eat lunch, whatever it is you got to do. Take a nap. Hell, I love naps. Whatever you got to do, make it different when you come back the next time. Don't blow your wad. Walk away with money every time. I know a lot of people go in there and go, this is what I'm going to play. I don't care if I lose it. I do. If I'm buying in with $500, I'm not walking away with zero. I got to walk away with something. I don't care if it's $25. I got to walk away with something, because that's keeping my confidence, keeping my ego, or whatever you want to call it, in check. Okay, I didn't let them have everything I put out there. I brought some of it back. I can go get the rest of it later. That's important. So yeah, probably around the first week of December or so, probably on a Tuesday night. I don't want to interfere with, people like to watch Monday Night Football. We've got a lot of bowl games starting up. So I want to hit it early before there's anything important. Probably somewhere around the first week of December, I got to check with Heavy and see if he's available. He's already agreed to do it. Going to get Gargo, they're old friends. Me and Heavy are old friends. Me and Gargo are friends. I mean, so we got some history we can talk about and do whatever we do. Who knows what we'll talk about? I got no idea.
The stories are going to be, between all three of us. I know Heavy has stories.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, it is, and I'm looking forward to. I guess I'll be the producer, the moderator, but I appreciate the fine words there, God Complex. I'm not awesome. The guys that are on the screen are awesome, and this is really good stuff when you get the experience that Gargo, Ed has, and even John's played the game a lot longer than I do, and John's a professor and a mathematician. I'm just sitting here having fun putting the whole thing together. Guys, coming up on Sunday night over on Casino Gaming TV, we do have Craps Chat at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm heading to AC tomorrow in the morning. If you're at around the Caesars property, stop by and say hello to me. And that's about all I got to say tonight. Ed, the show tonight, I appreciate your time. On my side, I call it Ed and Jeff. On your side, you call it Mutt and Jeff. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks, hopefully, and I'm looking forward to that what you're calling the holiday show with those couple heavy hitters. Guys, if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and we'll call it a night. Anybody got anything final to say?
Practice like you play like you practice. Go roll to win, everybody.
All right, you know my tagline. Be safe, play smart. You guys hang around. Just hang on 1 second after we get out of here. We'll see you on the next one.